The game plays right here.
Are you ready for some football?
Your sports leader, WOHS Shelby, WLON Lincoln, and WCSL Cherryville Gastonia.
chosen breed. You don't see too many like me, cause I am one of the reasons you do what you do when you wanna be me instead of you, cause I am still on beat, showing love to the streets. Come on, you know me, cause that's who I am.
Good afternoon, everybody. Kevin Hastings along today with Zach Mayhue, and Hunter Yancey is getting with us. I got to find which. There's Zach. He's Terry Reinhardt this morning. Which picture I put Zach there for a little bit. We'll get your name up there in just a minute, Zach. But good afternoon. Hadn't seen you in a couple weeks. Said you've been losing some weight too, so hadn't seen about 10 pounds of you in a couple weeks, have we? But good to have you back. Of course, missed you last week, and I'll get your name up there in the corner so everybody knows. There's Mr. Mayhue. All right. And this week we also have coming in live, Hunter Yancey is supposed to be quarantining. Hunter, where are you? What are you doing?
What?
Are you getting chicken wings of Lou Williams?
Lou said he had something for me down here. And he's not even here. Something about he went back to a bubble. I mean, I don't know.
How's the chicken wings, Hunter?
Hey, what chicken wings are dang delicious. Don't let anybody fool you now. Chicken wings down here are delicious.
All right. Well, Hunter, if you can tell, is not in our studio today. I think he's traveling the world today, but it's good to see Hunter online. Whether even though you're not here, I guess Saturday you won't be. You're going to be doing that too, so you won't be in here to steal my breakfast Saturday. But good.
That's all you, man.
Good to see you again. We're gonna have a little fun today, going through the our list here. We've got some NCAA football schedules, name, image, likeness stuff. We've got players in the corona, playing, not playing, joining up, trying to force. All kinds of things in college football could happen. We've got some NFL to talk about, a little baseball. PGA Tour Championship starts tomorrow. And we've got Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr., and we'll start there. Hunter, you're going in and out there. You might want to just go ahead and maybe get rid of your background there so you can get something set up.
I guess my vacation in Magic City has come to an end. So we'll just get rid of that.
There you go. That's probably you're staying in a little bit better on that one. So let's start. I tell you what, Zach. Let's start with the boxing. We haven't really talked much about this
Before
at all.
we get started on that, what is the KTT? Well,
Smooth Trail T3.
Okay. Yeah, I'm having trouble with my. What's the last three? 233. I'm having trouble with my internet, so bear with me for a minute. I was on the other one. The never-ending Wi-Fi problems.
So Tyson is versus Roy Jones Jr. and I'm not a big fight fan. I can't just watch boxing for anything, but I do like the big names. I do. Always was a Mike Tyson fan. Between the game and just how good he was. Always, he had his mental problems, Zach. I guess the best way to put it. And ends up in jail and all kinds of things, but no one ever would say, as far as fighting wise, that he was a bad fighter at any point. I don't think. Roy Jones, I liked. Again, I like, if I'm going to watch, usually it's heavyweights. So to me, I just when he beats up on these people that weigh less than me, that's that's not really exciting for me, but other people like it. But anyway, as far as this fight goes, I'm pulling it up on the screen here for you folks. The tail of the tape between Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. Tyson is 54, Roy 51. Roy's fought 27 more fights.
Now Roy just retired 2 years ago.
Is that how long? It wasn't that long. Roy's got 66 wins, Tyson 50. Tyson 44 knockouts and 50 wins, Hunter.
and with a layoff of jail, so
and
in his prime.
So he's got 6 losses. Roy 9, 2 no contest. Roy's last fight was in February of 18. Tyson hadn't fought since 2005. I didn't know they were pretty much same height and length. Zach 5'10", yes. 5'11", 71 inches to Roy's 74 inches.
What's that's the reach advantage? 71,
that's the reach,
74,
74 for Roy.
Yeah, I think the weight is what's going to come into a factor for that.
It doesn't say weight. Tyson, of course, weighs more.
I'm gonna say Tyson's probably in the 210, 220 range, and Roy's probably 180, 190. If I was guessing.
Mm-hmm. And Roy fought most of his career in was it welterweight or mid heavyweight?
I think he was a light heavyweight.
Not the heavyweight division.
But he was a champion as a light heavyweight. He was pound for pound greatest boxer, pound for pound best boxer for a while.
And then everybody went on the Floyd Mayweather thing. Would you have picked Floyd or against Roy Jones? Or
Floyd's weight. If they were the same size, I would like to see it.
Well, Hunter's getting ready for the fight, it looks like. Hunter, have you ever seen either one of these folks fight? I know you haven't Tyson, because it's 2005. But have you ever seen a Roy Jones fight?
I was never really a big boxing fan growing up. I used to always want to learn how to box. I will say that. I used to always wanted to learn how to box, but my mama said she paid too much for these teeth to see him punched in. So definitely was not able to do that. I've watched more like MMA growing up because that was the thing that was really on the rise. And obviously, if you think about it, which one's bigger now? It's MMA over boxing. But I will say this, I am intrigued by this fight because it would be different if it was Mike Tyson against Joe Blow. You know what I'm saying? But these are two big names that came up in the boxing game. Obviously, Mike Tyson is almost legendary. They speak Muhammad Ali. You know exactly who that is. Then the next person you could speak of is Mike Tyson, and it automatically registers in your brain exactly who you're talking about. I know people could say, Frazier as well, but, I mean, Mike Tyson, just his name alone, that's going to draw a crowd. So I haven't seen either one of them fight, but I'm interested to see this fight. And I know a lot of people would probably be like, but they're just a bunch of 50-year-old old men out here getting ready just to throw hands. It's like, yeah, that's the point. Have you seen the shape that Mike Tyson just got back in? Have you seen what kind of shape Roy Jones Jr. is in? Seen how he's only stopped fighting 2 years ago? They're still going to be. They might not go the distance.
Well, the interesting
but with these two, it doesn't matter. They're two power hitters. It wouldn't have went the distance regardless.
They got it set up as an exhibition, 8 rounds, and the guy that's over it come out and said he didn't want anybody trying to knock somebody out. And Tyson said, "That's all I'm going to try to do is knock somebody out," because there is no judges. So if they get to the eighth round and they're still standing, then they can't call it a draw. And Tyson said he's not having a draw. So Roy Jones come out and said, I'm going to figure out how to defend myself. He said, since I am the smaller man. Now, on height-wise, he's an inch taller. He's got a little bit longer reach. I was trying to pull up his fighting weight back in the day.
I found it.
What do you think, 180, 190?
Well, that was his regular fighting weight.
Yep.
The heaviest he ever was his one heavyweight championship bout against Ruiz, and he weighed in at 193.
Yeah, so he ain't going to be that in this fight. I highly doubt that. Tyson probably was 205, 210.
So the rules are they're not having any judges. It's just a straight.
It's like a sparring, like you would be sparring to get ready for a regular bout. But there's not wearing headgear, and poor Roy, he better put on some ear gear because he might get his ear bit off.
Well, I talked a little bit about that with Andre down the hall a little bit earlier because I'm very intrigued by this fight. Most fights, there's either one or two people I don't even like, and you pull for somebody. I've always pulled for Tyson. I've had no reason to pull against Roy Jones. I always thought he's a pretty decent fella, as far as I could tell. And so I've never really had a reason to pull against him. He's a Jordan Brand athlete. And Roy at 193 being the heaviest, Zach, I'm just I thought he at least got to 200 on that, and I know Tyson probably lived in the 200.
I want to
range.
say Tyson was 205 up to 221. He was pretty big on his last couple fights, but he was fat and out of shape. It's funny because the guy that beat him, I think it was Kevin McBride, that's one of the last ones that beat him. He said, "Why don't you come out and try to avenge your loss in a real fight?" So I would not want to pull on the Tiger's cape. I'll just say that right now. If you saw any of his, like Hunter was referencing, if you saw any of his training videos, he'll knock your head off.
Watch out.
Yeah, I told a friend of mine on Facebook. I said he's been watching Apollo Creed and Ivan Drago in their exhibition fight. Tyson, that's what Tyson's doing. He's the Russian in this.
I'm trying to find the weights on him too, and I'm not finding it. I'm finding all of his.
I'll tell you where you can find it.
I'm finding all of his. I'm finding all the matches and how much people bought and all of that. I might just have to. You just might have to type in Tyson weight.
I'm gonna pull Mike Tyson's punch out and see what his build weight was in that.
All right, so I watched a little bit. Zach, you know who Teddy Atlas is?
Yeah.
All right, so he used to be his trainer way back in the day. Hunter, they interviewed him and asked him about this fight, and Zach, he weighs 235.
Right now or then?
Estimated at ESPN that Tyson weighs 235 pounds, which would be 15 to 25 more of his average weight. His average fighting weight was 220, 225. So his average fighting weight is 25 pounds more than Roy Jones.
And that's when they weigh.
And they're the same height. That's how much more muscle or whatever he's got on him than Roy.
Muscle on him right now.
So the way Atlas broke it down, he said, well, you're having an exhibition, one. And Tyson said, anytime you get in the ring and you're throwing punches, somebody can die. And that was his quotes on it. So Atlas was like, I've seen Mike in tons of these sparring matches, and in every one,
he's an animal.
He punches.
He's an animal.
He tries to knock the people
now,
out.
They did give him 2 ounce heavier gloves. They're going to be going with 11 ounce, which makes a humongous difference from what I understand. But still, you're swinging with his.
I was either way. If you're Roy, wouldn't you want him to have lighter gloves?
I wouldn't get in there with him.
I don't want any more weight on his hands than he already has. So the way Atlas was breaking it down, he said, listen, Roy, everybody knows that Tyson's got power and Mike's got speed.
Yeah.
He said what everybody doesn't know is or doesn't really talk about ever is Tyson actually has talent, skill, and
he absolutely does.
Not training, but the fundamentals.
Yep.
I can't remember the word he used. Dang it. It was a good word too. But anyway, you get what I'm saying. Is that Tyson has the fundamentals, and he said Roy Jones Jr. never did. So he said, how is a 50-some-year-old with no fundamentals?
That
And he
might
was
have
just in there
lost
trying
the speed.
he was just basically trying to be an out athlete. He was trying to Floyd Mayweather the middle heavyweights, and he said if Tyson catches him at all, he's going to knock him out, and he expects Tyson to knock him out. He wouldn't even question it, Zach. His former trainer said, and they haven't liked each other for a while.
Yeah.
Mike had to call him and they had a talk. But he said he totally expects Tyson to knock him out, and I'll pay to watch it. I just don't want it to be like
It's $50 right now.
We can get 5-10 people to do that, no problem. I just, I was disappointed in the fight where he bit Evander's ear. I actually was, the first and about only fight I ever paid for to watch, and I was just pretty upset about how you sit there all night and then 30 seconds or 2 minutes into a fight.
People blame Tyson for that. And I was watching it. I can remember watching it. It was two different camps, sitting in the same place. They had the Evander side. We had the Tyson side. I was Tyson side. Evander kept headbutting.
He did.
And he got Tyson aggravated. We know Tyson's not all there sometimes, and he was having some problems at that time. He did not have Customato, which was like his father, which is the original trainer. He did not, and he did not have Teddy Atlas with him. He was with a new regime, and he wasn't in his prime anymore. He wound up having to fight Lennox Lewis and Evander Holyfield, not in his prime, and he bit the man's ear off. He got mad. He did it twice.
Yeah,
which was what made it even better.
Once you saw it the first time, he was like, "What?" And then he did the second time. He's like, "All right, this is fixed. Something weird, something bad's happened." Like it wasn't. I don't know. It was just such a weird feeling watching and seeing that fight. And when he bit him, he just like, huh? And we just thought, okay, let's fight. Let's get it over with. The ref's going to break it up. And then when he did it again, you just like, goodness. It was unbelievable. Here's what Roy Jones doesn't want, Zach, and that's an uppercut.
No.
That's the most dangerous thing I've ever seen.
If you look up, I don't know if you can pull it on here, a YouTube video when he fought, Tyson fought Joe Frazier's son. His name was Marvis Frazier. If you look at the knockout of Marvis Frazier, he's wondering Tyson didn't kill him with that uppercut. It was so bad.
I mean, just seeing one where he missed. You ever seen him miss the uppercut? And you're just like, oh my God, I'm so glad he didn't hit that. And I'm trying to start my watch party here.
Well, I'll have to get together for that fight. I have to show you. Little did Evander know when that happened in 98 when Tyson bit his ear off that we would be dealing with COVID right now.
Yeah.
And he can't go into any stores.
He ain't got an ear to wrap around. He showed a picture, Hunter, with his mask hanging off his one ear.
He said, thanks, Mike.
So Holyfield can't go in. Jeez.
He can't wear a mask because he only has one ear. Him and Mick Foley are the only two people can't walk around with a mask on. Mick Foley lost his to Big Van Vader.
So is there anybody going to be picking Jones to win this?
If it was, here's what I will say. If it would be a judges at the ringside and it would possibly go 8 and Tyson, we don't know what he's going to do when he gets into deep time. You know how much stamina Tyson's got. He always kind of waned when it got in 6th, 7th, 8th round. That'd be my only concern with Tyson.
Atlas pointed that out. He said they're playing exhibition and it's only 8 rounds. He said if it was 10, he said even Roy said Mike was more dangerous than this because he knows he don't have 10 rounds to mess around. He's just got, but we all know for Tyson Hunter 5 rounds.
Yeah.
He's going to try to knock him in the first 5. If it gets past that, it's anybody's ball game, and that was always Evander's, I think, strategy. Zach was just to get there. You know what I mean? He just Vander's like, we get to the 7th, 8th round, I'm going to win. I think Lennox, all of them tried to do Tyson that same way, and dodge him for 5 rounds, and then hope he doesn't knock you out.
Especially when you get him frustrated, and he knows he's got that time frame, and it took him deep. I know when Tyson had sparred with those guys in the 80s, he had some pretty good. They have. Legendary sparring matches between Lennox, Tyson, and Evander, but they never got to face each other until after Tyson got out of prison, which was not his prime years. If they would have got him in the 80s, they're getting knocked out.
I mean, I want to watch Tyson and I want to watch Tyson in some. Yeah, I think they missed the boat on letting him having some prison fights.
He possibly could have.
Just think how much money they could have just raised for the actual prison or the prison system. Like they could have had Tyson just fighting the toughest guys at Leavenworth or wherever
most of the time, you watch some of the Tyson knockouts and stuff like that. They'll show the Spinks one and all that, where he kind of knocked him through the ropes. He didn't really hit Spinks that hard. Marvis Frazier. Like I said, Joe Frazier's son got in there, and he thought.
Well, they call him Marvis Marvelin. Wasn't he?
No,
Marvis?
that was Marvis Marvin Hagler.
Okay,
Marvis Frazier was. He had only lost. I think at that particular point in time, only lost one match, and he got in there and thought he was going to take Tyson. He said once he hit me one time, he said I knew I was in trouble, and Tyson floored him in like 20 seconds, and he hit him so hard. Before he hit the ground, he hit him twice, and he was out cold, and he retired. He retired Joe Frazier's son.
All right, Hunter. You picking Roy?
No.
When is the date? Do we have the date
I will
on
say
it?
this.
It's September 11th or 12th.
Go ahead. Huh?
It would not surprise. I'm just saying it would not surprise me though, because we have to remember this. I know it will come down to muscle memory, and the training that Mike Tyson has done is obviously just going to bring back something that he made a career off of. You know, that was his life. But Roy Jones Jr. has only been retired technically for 2 years now. I mean, he could, of all people, be the one that's probably in the best shape to go up against Mike Tyson. He might still be in better shape than Mike Tyson. So say Tyson can't land that blow. To me, it feels like, you know, Jones Jr. would probably have to take a book out of Floyd Mayweather and play defensive as much as he can early and pray to God that he outlasts Tyson.
Well, if they're,
like you said, that
if they're
not,
just,
I don't think there's not a decision.
Right.
Yeah,
if they're not doing that,
tie,
is he just not out there just, I mean, who's knocked out Tyson? Zach, Lewis? Who knocked out? Or Buster Douglas?
Lennox Lewis did. Buster Douglas
in the Buster
did.
Douglas knockout, that was actually, it was still contested in whether he got to 10. People think he got counted short on that knockout, and they also say that they let Buster up early when he got knocked down. So there was two different instances in that were questionable, Hunter, about whether that fight was even legit fair. I remember.
That one's the one that Tyson would walk into the ring. He'd beat you before he got into the ring. After he took that knockout, that took some of his aura away and some of the fear from people. And then he got put, like I said, right after that, he got put in jail. He was actually supposed to, after that fight, I think it's when he was supposed to go up against Evander, and he got put in jail for like 2 years. And then he came out, had a couple good fights, and then he went and fought Evander about 2 years after that.
Sorry, I'm trying to, Hunter, he's just, you know, you hit all kinds of buttons on these on our Facebook stuff. I'm trying to share the stuff out and start watch parties, and it's not allowing me to start a watch party. It's just I got videos, so I don't know.
They don't make it easy.
It changes every time we do something. But I want to thank everybody for listening and watching. As always, everybody. I'll shut that up for a sec. Oh goodness. All right. Now let's talk a little Atlanta Braves. Get into some baseball. You guys seems like man. You may have lost something this week, Hunter.
Yeah, it's tough. You know, Soroka started off to a great start, and then all of a sudden, I guess it's just how he planted trying to come off that mound, and that Achilles just said, "Not today."
I told Kevin last night it was a freak accident. It's a freak accident.
I think so.
I mean, golly,
I think so.
Think about it. I mean, you're a pitcher. You're usually not going to blow out your ACL, and he goes to get the ball. I mean, it's just, I was disappointed.
It is a freak
heartbreaking.
Accident. I agree. And it was heartbreaking, too, because I thought with him on the mound, we definitely had a good opportunity to put the Mets away. Obviously, him not being able to continue to go maybe another 3 or 4 innings, the Mets got what they needed to get on us. And that already makes a very thin pitching lineup a lot thinner now for us in Atlanta.
We hadn't had a good pitching year this year yet.
No.
Overall.
Not at all.
I was disappointed.
One of the things. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just saying I was disappointed because you know how good of a year he had last year, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And
I had seen many people say he was already a top 5 pitcher in the National League.
He had to be 23, 24 maybe. I think he's 23. That's sad. I mean, I don't know what that'll do for his pitching.
Surely to God, that's something that for a pitcher shouldn't be that hard to overcome. He's not jumping. He's not shaking people. Player. And I think for him that's completely different than what Kevin Durant's going through with his situation. I mean, like you said, it was him taking off after a ground ball. It wasn't even in a pitching motion. So for him to come back in rehab, and he's not going to be doing that movement pretty much at all until he's 100% good on that. It's probably a thing, Hunter, that I would say he may be even able to come back sooner, maybe even than a regular ACL injury, because I mean, first of all,
Achilles.
Right? How many Major League Baseball teams are going to bun him?
I thought it was ACL.
No,
It was Achilles.
Was it?
Yeah.
I was wrong.
So what I'm saying about that is, I still think it's just was it his plant leg or right leg? Do you know? I need to know that.
I do not know that.
I'm not sure off the top of my head.
Soroka hurt leg.
It's I think that would matter based on what he's pushing off on to pitch when he's pitching.
Yeah, it's his right leg. So yeah, so you might have it. It may be a full thing. I was saying if it's his left leg, just plant leg, like that's not. But he's actually pushing off with that leg and that calf and that Achilles. So yeah, it may be a year thing for him then on that one, Hunter. So with that said,
and that's tough too. That's what makes it so tough is, this year we were so delayed on the start. If it starts on time next year, then he definitely won't be ready at all.
We might not finish
It'll be
this year.
What are we? This is August now. He would be what, 2-3 months into the season still before he could probably even start doing anything.
Yeah, I mean it would be June. That's the comeback. I think he'll be ready maybe for spring training as far as being able to walk out there and throw some pitches. Again,
I will say
I don't think he'll be. But you're probably right.
A lot different. Like his comeback is definitely a lot different than if it was a football player or a basketball player.
Right. Are you looking at? But what about? Just off the top of my head, what about maybe All-Star break next year? About that time for him to actually be back with the Braves.
See, that's the big question.
That's 11 months.
He's such a young asset.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to risk rushing him back in if maybe you have somebody that
if you're in fourth place,
that might be on the rise? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know we're thin. That's the problem, but I mean, I don't know. But Fried came out the next night and absolutely lit up the Blue Jays. I don't think anybody wants to see him whenever he's on the mound for the rest of the year. They said him and Soroka are very, very close, so he's got a fire lit under him right now, too, from the pitching perspective. Soroka, though, this is just tough because I think what makes it so tough is the fact that, this is a World Series, is the peak. Like that, this is that kind of caliber team. But they have to have him a part of the rotation,
right?
And then him being a part of the rotation is what makes this team probably a World Series caliber team. Now that he's down, and they pushed down Fulton-Elwich after his 4 innings that he pitched in the one game he started. I mean, we really don't have the depth pitching wise to maybe compete with the Dodgers in the NLCS. I think the Braves as a whole offensively are definitely deep enough to where they can make a run playoff-wise. But pitching is just going to become so paramount, and I just don't think they're going to be able to keep up.
Talk about this year?
Yeah, this year. I seriously think this is a huge blow for this year, mostly because we still are trying to wait for Cole Hamels to get back and healthy. Whenever he'll get back and be healthy, so we're already down another starting pitcher. That's why I wish we would have retained Dallas Keuchel last year, just to be able to have a little bit more depth in your starting pitching rotation. I know this is a year where you can kind of afford to shrink down how many starting pitchers you're going to rotate through, but other than that, when you sit there and say literally hours, you can call them the professionals or whatnot, but the pro experts, the MLB experts, sit there hours before the game and say that Soroka is a top 5 pitcher in the National League.
Yeah.
And then he goes out. I mean, that would be a blow for anybody. You mean to tell the Dodgers wouldn't be the same if they lost Kershaw?
No.
Their pitching rotation would definitely not be the same. So same with the Mets if they lost DeGrom. I know the Mets, they've lost a key player as well in Cespedes, but this is going to be a serious blow going forward for at least the pitching perspective. I think we can still score with the best of everybody. But if we can't stop anybody, then what's the point,
We got to get consistent with our bats. We go 1 run, 1 game, 14 the next. We need to have a consistency each game. I think the bats are trying to get caught up with all the teams, honestly.
Yeah, I think they're trying to get caught up bat-wise. The one that really is trying to get himself caught up, and I guess he's just – there's been such a layoff. I remember they said – I think it was Chipper Jones – that some of these guys are not quite going to be ready because they've been off for so long and maybe have not been able to see live pitching for such a long time. But I need Acuna. I need Acuna to start getting back to that NL MVP form that he was in last year. He's still high on the strikeouts. So, but outside of him – everybody on the team offensively is performing. It's just the pitching. The pitching has got to be consistent. We said that last year. That's how the Cardinals put us out in that first round of the playoffs last year. The pitching failed us. We came into this year and said, okay, pitching still needs to be a little bit of a focus this year. And then your ace gets injured. I can firmly say Soroka is the ace. Your ace gets injured. That's just tough. And it's not like an injury where he'll be back after 10 games. I mean, he's done.
Yeah.
He's done.
I'm not trying to be the bearer of bad news, but when your ace goes down, you can survive regular season 100. You can finish 500, I think, maybe or better, but it's going to be really tough winning in the playoffs. But then again, I've always kind of been one to, as long as you get you like to get 3 starters from your ace in a series, but you want the 2. It's if you're going up against a really good starter, Zach, and you're going to get 1 or 2 runs off of him. Why don't other teams just we'll throw our 4th guy today, or throw a bullpen today, and then we'll bring our ace in the second game and then get a win. Because a lot of times we bring up these baseball things. We got ace versus ace. Well, somebody's got to lose, and I don't know. You guys are 8-4. Good news is you got 4 wins above the Nationals. They've got 4 losses. So you got the same exact number of losses. They played 8 games. You guys played 12. I think you guys have played the most games in baseball. I don't think you've missed a day,
Probably.
It seems like.
Nationals probably had a series coming up against the Marlins and didn't get to play it.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly right. 12 is the most games. The Dodgers have played 12. Padres and Giants. Mariners have got in 12. Indians have played 12. Royals played 12. And that's it. There's only like 5 or 6 of us even play the 12 games, so y'all should be getting maybe an off day or something at some point. But runs scored, Hunter, you're right. Y'all are killing the ball. In 12 games, you got 69 runs. And you're giving up 48 runs in the 12 games. So you're giving up 4 runs a game. I wish they would put that on 11. The Cubs, they're giving up exactly 4 runs a game. They're 9-2. 4's not terrible. You'd probably rather be closer to 3 on that. Just for example,
that would be.
I think 3 is the go. I think 3 is the main goal. Hunter, I'll let you go because if I remember right, I think Yadier's career ERA with the team's like 3.15, and then when he's out, it's 4-something, 4.3. So yeah, that's kind of what you're looking at with that is whether you got basically Yadier in the lineup.
But you're looking at one. If you just say 1 run per game over, if it's a regular season, that's 160 runs or something.
Right.
That's a lot.
I think that was a good comp though. If you brought up the Cubs and they're only allowing 4, because if that was a first round matchup for us in the National League, if it was playoff time, I could sit here and say firmly I think we could beat the Cubs even without Soroka. I mean, it'd be tough, but if that's a good comp, you got to try and stay positive. But I agree with you on that, Kevin. We'll be able to make it. We're going to make the big dance. The problem is how far are we going to go, because the rotation gets a lot tighter when it gets to the big dance.
So, you've played 12 games out of 60. That's 1/5 of them. The goal we said before it started was to get to 500. So you guys need to go 22 and 26 the rest of the way to make the playoffs, basically, without your ace. Do you feel good about that?
Well, yeah, I feel like
it's not even a winning record, but still without your ace.
Yeah, that's not a winning record. 22 and 26, that would be what we have to go, because I'll sit here and say I could see us losing more games than we win for just a short stretch.
Knowing that,
but then again, go ahead.
Knowing the aces are going to be on the mound more too.
Well, let's put it this way: they pitch every 5 games roughly. So you got 48 games left. So nine start. Let's say, to be safe, 9 starts. How many wins was he going to get out of 9 starts?
Out of 9, so how many wins?
Compared to
He could've
whoever's
gotten
coming in
every
for him.
6.
Is he going to
He
get?
could have gotten every bit
Five or
6.
So whoever replaces him, they get 3. That's going to be 3 less wins. So now you're looking at, you've pretty much got to go 20. You got to go even 500 the rest of the way as far as comparatively speaking. So you got to be a 500 ball. Can you be a 500 ball team without Mike Soroka, Hunter? Is kind of where I'm going with that math.
I would hope so.
Yes.
All right.
And I think it's offensive. I think that's because of the offense.
I told Hunter a minute ago, I wish we could get consistent. And we could get consistent.
Yeah.
I mean, you said how many runs we scored. I remember a game we scored 14, and another one we scored 0.
And we joked about that last week. It's like, well, the other team only got 1. You only needed 2. You wasted 12 runs.
1 to
and
nothing.
then the very next game
and,
is the
and you're
same
sitting there
thing.
going, what the world? With the firepower like that, that's horrible.
Well, the Cardinals did the same thing. They beat the Braves. Was it 10 runs in the first inning, and then the next series they just shit the bed.
I mean, it's crazy.
Y'all got swept, didn't you?
It may have been. I'm not sure, but it wasn't a good showing from the Cardinals.
Yeah, you guys played the Nationals, and they went on, of course, to win the World Series.
We're good about knocking off good teams and then getting swept for no reason. The Red Sox did that to us in a World Series. That was the best team we ever had, and then we won it 2 years later with about the worst team we ever had.
I'll say this. If it comes down to, do I still think the Braves can win their division? Absolutely. The Phillies are a mess. The Marlins don't even know who's playing next week or whenever they can even play a game. And the Nationals, I've said this from the beginning, I think them not being able to retain Rendon and him going to the Angels. I know the Angels aren't really getting much help out of him now, but I think that was a big loss for the Nationals as well. So, to me, the Braves are still the clear-cut favorite in that division. I mean, the Mets maybe, but even they lost Cespedes, who just went AWOL out of nowhere. So,
the Mets are 4-8. They're done.
They're done. Yeah, so they're below 500. They don't even have a winning record against Atlanta, and I think we're done with our series against them. We played them to start the season, and then we just finished the series with them. So, yeah, the Braves are head and shoulders above the other 2 teams, or the other 3 teams. Not to mention the Phillies got coronavirus problems too. So the only one we got to worry about is the Nationals.
So looking, Zach, Monday, we'll see if you agreed with our assessment. We went with teams already with 7 losses in the first 12 games there, 11, 12 games. We're done for the season. We're just going out on a limb.
Yeah.
So here's the teams. Can they overcome? Red Sox at 3-8.
Yikes.
Royals 3-9.
Yeah, they ain't coming out.
Angels at 4-7 and Mariners at 4-8 out west. They've only really beat each other.
I can promise you the Angels ain't coming out because they ain't never made the playoffs with Mike Trout on their team.
They did once, and they got swept. Got swept. In the National League, Mets are 4-8. Hunter. Pirates are 2-9. And the Diamondbacks 3-8. Then you've got the Giants at 5-7. Now a 3-game win streak erases that really quick, or 3-game series. But they're already piling up the losses. And what we mean by this, folks, is you can only lose basically 30 games. 500 should get you in or right at end of the playoffs. You can't mess around at all under 500. And the more games you lose, so the Pirates, for example, at 2-9. They got to go 28-21 the rest of the way. Like the more games you go under 500, the more you got to flip it. So with the Diamondbacks and the Angels and the Mariners 4-7, 4-8, Kansas City at 3-9, Cleveland keeps hanging around at 500. They're at 6-6 now. So some of these teams are starting to dig a hole. Cleveland started out 6-2, then lost 4 or 5-2, and lost 4 straight. They're now at 6-6. They won 1. Last 10, of course, 5-5. So, in the East, the Marlins played got back in going. Hunter, they won. They're now 3-1. Percentage wise, they're in first in the East.
I mean, you played 4 games. Way to go.
Well, tonight they've got Baltimore, who's 5-4. How about the American League?
I was gonna say,
Go ahead.
Baltimore. I was gonna say, Now that'll be a game because for some reason Baltimore has decided that this is going to be the season to unsuck, and I mean it's kind of working.
Their run differential is -7, and they're 5-4.
Wow.
I don't even know who they've played. I truly don't.
I don't know.
They must have been playing bottom feeders.
Well, that's everybody in the American League East because everybody else has got a losing record in the East. Tampa, Boston, and Toronto all have they're 3-0 against Tampa. 0-2,
Really?
0-2 against the Yankees. 2-1 against Boston. So they're 2-1 against the Red Sox. 0-2 Yankees, and they swept the Rays in 3 games. And then they lost to Marlins last night 4-0, and they got the Marlins again tonight.
That surprises me that they swept the Rays because the amount of love I was hearing out of Tampa Bay for how the Rays were going to be this year is kind of weird, especially with how poor the Baltimore Orioles have been for at least the past 5 years. 5, 6, maybe even more. Like, they've been so poor. For them to even have a winning record at this point is shocking.
Well, yeah, they're -7 too. You and me, we talked Monday about the Rays. I think wasn't they like 5th or 6th on the power rankings? When we went through there, and that's changed. They lost a couple. I'm not seeing anyone else with a negative run differential in the top 2 of their division. Rockies 8-2.
You know what?
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, what it probably is. They probably got shelled by the Yankees.
I thought that
whoever they lost to.
Yeah, I thought those.
You talking about Baltimore?
2 games against the Yankees. I figured they got blasted.
Yeah, I just had it up. I hit the forward button. They lost. One of them was 9-3. The other one was 8-6. But they gave up 17 runs in 2 games against the Yankees.
Yeah, so that puts them. Yeah.
And they lost to the Red Sox. They beat the Red Sox 2 games, but their loss to the Red Sox was 13-2.
Ooh.
Yeah. So in 3,
game 1, wasn't it?
Yeah, in 3 losses, just against the Yankees and Red Sox,
30 runs.
30 runs in their 3 losses, and they only got one more loss.
At least if you're going to give up, at least they all come all the same game.
Right. I mean, you beat me 13-2 is no difference beating you 4-2. So they've given, and let's add the last one they lost last night. They got beat 4-0 by the Marlins. So the Baltimore has give up 34 runs in their 4 losses. That's 8.5 game in the loss. If the Orioles, Hunter, can just keep the other team under 7 runs, they got a chance.
They got a chance.
7 runs.
They got a chance. But it's crazy to think. It's technically still not too early to just done chain somebody. It's not. I mean, we only got 60 games.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to do what now?
Write them off, basically.
Say they're finished.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we tried that Monday. Got rid of some teams. Braves place Ozzie Albies and Adams on 10-day injured list. And Markakis has been reinstated.
Oof.
Mm-hmm.
Albies.
Albies is batting 159. He's in a 2-for-21 slump and a bruised right wrist. So put him on.
Oh, come on.
You on a 10-day DL right now? You missed the 5th of the season.
I was about to say 10 days for a bruised wrist, dude.
I think it's more of a bruised ego when you're 2-for-21.
And then they're going to say the risk caused him to be 2-for-21.
Yeah, he's going to come back, get that better. Hopefully for Braves fans, you can watch all Braves. Listen to Braves baseball here on KTC Broadcasting, WCSL 1590 AM, 92.3 FM, and KTCBroadcasting.com when you're not in the Cherryville area. Major League leader in batting average right now is Solano, Brantley, Cano, LeMahieu, and are the only 4 people over 400 right now. And I fully expected we to have somebody hitting 400 this year, and it's not looking like it. These guys strike out so damn much. They're not even half considered with this. Think about this season, Hunter. Well, think about this season real quick, Hunter. Joe DiMaggio had a 56-game hitting streak, and we're only playing 60 games.
Well, you know what it probably is? It's the fact that none of them have seen – they'll make the same excuse that they've waited so long to see live pitching.
Right.
I mean, and I can give him a little bit of slack with that. It has been a long time. It was an extended off season, really, because they had to push back the start of the season. So a lot of these guys, what was it? Chipper Jones I think he was the one that said it. He was like, the pitchers will be fine because all they have to do is just really go out there and throw and get the mechanics back down and get the movement back down. He said, but the batters, if they can't go to a batting cage or something, this is the first time they're seeing 80, 90 mile per hour fastballs coming in.
Shoot, 95 now.
Yeah, 95 now.
Yeah.
I know, and think about it. How many teams are, there are only like 5 teams that were 12 games in? That's it?
Yeah.
Really? So it might take them a little bit. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to get to 400 easily. I don't think anybody is getting to 400 easily.
If they don't have a cushion of batting way above 400, I don't think nobody's getting to 400. But the biggest deal is the change of the way that the philosophy at the bat's been. And if this would have been 30 years ago, they would have had multiples over 400 because you don't put as much emphasis on putting the ball in play anymore. And you don't have the hand-eye coordinate. You don't have the Tony Gwynn's. I'm trying to think of somebody else that's really good with the baseball bat. Tony Gwynn's coming to mind first, but somebody just put it in play.
I just can never imagine playing baseball and be more happy that I struck out than I didn't put a ball in play.
Yeah, striking out's absolutely horrible.
Just chopping one to second, they can miss it, throw it away. You could beat it out. You could be fast and try to hustle one time, but it's just it is kind of weird to me. Zach, there was a conversation the other day online about this the playoff rule where the guy's on second with no outs and whether or not you should just go ahead and bunt him over to third. And if you're going to put him on second with no outs, I can't see a single reason why you wouldn't bunt him over to third because any ball in play is a run. If the guy's on second and you don't bunt him over, don't you need – more than likely, you need 2 balls in play. Because you're waiting for a double or you're waiting for a long single for the guy to score from second, which can happen. But you're hoping between 2 batters they do that. But the best batters in the world bat 3 out of 10 get a hit. So it's not even if he hits a chopper to third, chopper to short, a pop up. Guy still stays on second. But if you're at third and get a pop-up or a chopper to second or something with 1 out, you score.
And even I was thinking, too, if you hit a chopper to third, chopper to short, that guy, you're going to have to check the runner.
Yeah.
So you're basically going to give them a free hit. I mean, they're getting on base because you're going to have to check the runner and then try to throw him out, too. So you might have a guy on first and third even if he don't score.
There's just, I don't know. So one of the folks online said that, he never, as a coach, he said he never gives away any outs. And you don't have to get out if you bunt. You can try to, get to first base. You can bunt and make a good bunt. But whether or not that's your philosophy or not, he was like, his follow-up to that was, if you want third, steal it. I said, who the hell's got Ricky Henderson sitting on the bench? Or all 9 players. The guy just struck out, Zach, because it's the player that was the last at bat that goes to second. They just don't pull a player off the bench. So the guy that just got out goes to second base. You get a double, basically, Hunter,
for being
the last out in the inning before. And then you get a run scored when someone knocks you in. It's just,
I still think
like who the hell is still in third base right now?
I still think they're going to have
Baseball.
Logistics problems with it because of the scoring. And we talked about that. The scoring. Who gets credited with the run? You didn't put him on base.
He didn't get on base.
Right. Is it an unearned?
He didn't knock himself on base. Is it an unearned run?
That's probably what they're going to have to do.
It's going to have to be an unearned run to the pitchers. It's not fair to the pitchers.
But you don't get the RBI for it if you're the
do
batter.
You? That's what I'm saying. Do you?
I mean,
you knocked a run in.
That don't count.
But the run count, those runs and stats count. Think about it. You're earning runs, you're earning RBIs that you didn't earn, and that's not something that's ever happened in the sport.
Sounds like something our government done.
That's
checks
and
balances.
When you put the government in charge of something, it always gets worse, as opposed to free enterprise. And I don't think any sport has ever. I don't know, and you might be able to find an example. But
the only thing I could see would be
Hunter. Let me ask you something. Do they count? If you go to PKs at the end of a soccer game, and the PKs, one team wins 4-2, I'm just making up numbers. Do they count? Does all 4 of those count as goals on that guy's official goal count?
Against the keeper?
Does that go against the keeper's like goal saves? Does that go like, you know what I'm saying? Like those aren't actual shots on goal, but now you're getting 5 free shots, which is kind of the same thing as the guy at second. And if your team scores 4 goals, do those count on your official goal record, or is that something else?
That's something that I'm not sure of.
I'll tell you what, I
actually never know.
I can relate it to.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're Kings Mountain and you're playing Charlotte Catholic, and you don't score the whole freaking ball game, and you go into overtime and you get put on the 10-yard line and you score 60 points.
Yeah.
How does that get? Does that get listed?
Right. So your defense gave up 60.
How does that get listed? So it's basically the same concept.
Yeah, your defense gave up 60 points, but really, if you played a real football game,
they didn't give up anything.
If they would have played like if they would have just went to overtime and played real football, even if they in that game, if they would have went to sudden death, I still don't think Kings Mountain would have lost, because the only thing that team was doing was getting 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Was Catholic strategy, was 3 yards in a cloud of dust, and you can't stop a team going 10 yards. It is weird that you're given runs and RBIs that you didn't actually earn at all. I mean, think about it, Zach. If you're let's say you're a fast player, you're batting whatever 6th in the lineup, and you got 2 outs, and the pitcher deuces you up first 2, and you're sitting there at 0-2. It's a tie ball game. Like, if I strike out here, I can get on second, start the next inning, or I can, you want to swing away. I'm sure they're trying to hit. At that point, are you trying to get on base, or are you trying to hit a ball out of the park? So you're just trying to hit a walk-off and get out of there, and then you might just strike out, and, hey, I'm on second next inning. And then these guys can knock me in. Weird. That's just so weird.
And their whole philosophy, they're trying to shorten the game. They don't want them 18 inningers.
Yeah.
It's what it is, but I want to see how they're going to account for what baseball accounts for, runs scored and stuff like that.
They could at least maybe start, if they're going to do that, a runner on first. Because then you get a double play ball. You want it quick.
Let's just say, I mean, that's you're looking at if you hit a home run, it's a 2-run home run.
Yeah.
I mean, it just, I don't understand it.
That's really huge. You just think about that. Like,
what if one gets?
What if I get a 2-run?
Okay, so what if one guy goes from second to third, and you load 1 and 2, and they hit a grand slam? I don't know. Anyway, that's just the way I think.
I was trying to pull up. There was an article I saw earlier, Hunter, about all the teams and where they're at right now. I'm trying to go through it if I can find it. But you seem confident in the Braves. Real quick, Cardinals, if you're asking, wondering. Of course, yeah, I'm a Cardinals fan. I don't. The longer that Yadier is out is our issue. I've said it every show we've ever had and through the years. If he misses 5-10 games and they don't stay around 500, then they're going to be done. They're 2-3 right now. I think it actually worked in their favor, Hunter, postponing the games, because that doesn't do anything but give Yadier five more days of instead of 5 days of them playing games and him missing games. That's 5 games he's going to actually get to play back. So the way they did that, it's actually going to help. That'd help the Cardinals more than it would hurt them. So I'm kind of okay on that so far. I think a lot of people are just reading the internet, man. They're really concerned about who broke protocol and who the problem was, and I really don't care. Don't see that as an issue at all as a fan. I mean, you can blame Lou Williams, and they said some guys maybe went to a casino, but again, Hunter, you're sitting in a room right now, and pretty much the same thing Yadier Molina did,
right?
Which was nothing. And we don't know a lot about what's going on with this thing in this world, so it's just I'm not looking to blame anybody on any. My thing is, again, the less games he misses due to them postponing, the better. We just need Yadier in the lineup.
Yeah, did he test positive for COVID?
Yeah,
I thought he did.
Yeah, there's about 4 or 5 of them. Like I said, he didn't leave the hotel room or anything like that. So we don't know exactly. It's just they got that 30-man roster and everything. Mm-hmm. So we thought they was just going to replace that. And 100, they really hadn't even thought or looked at that, have they? Like we just thought that was going to be so simple when a guy tests.
Yeah.
They never said, well, if one guy tests, we're going to shut a team down for a week. Like that was never told or to us in any of the discussions that I remember. Do you?
No, I don't remember reading that anywhere. See, I thought it was a 60-man taxi squad. Either way, regardless, they had replacement players in place. It wasn't to replace you for the full season. It was just until you got done with your mandatory quarantine.
Yeah.
So let's just go ahead and cancel 5-6 games where nobody is, where the whole league except for 5 teams have played maybe 7 games and the rest of them have played all their games. It's just everything is so out of whack. You've already pushed this back as far as you could to where you can still at least get postseason baseball in close to October. Now you're not giving yourself much room if you need to make up these postponements. I don't know. That was the whole reasoning behind coming up with the doubleheader games, but after a while, it's just I think they need to allocate themselves some days towards the end of the season for makeup games.
I'm trying to pull up so the exact numbers that he needs. Talking about a little bit about Albert Pujols here. So last night the Angels win. They won a game, y'all. Believe it or not.
Oh.
And Trout returned from paternity leave, and he hit a home run, a solo shot. Albert hit a 2-run homer, and the team won by 2. So you can do the math and say whose homer was more important. And then also, but the top story on ESPN, Hunter, was Trout homers in his return in first at bat. The quote from the Twitter guy was, "How amazing is this guy?" And you're just like, he hit it 404 feet was the distance. It scraped the wall. Pujols was 425 feet. And it was 559th home run, Zach. We're one shy of Willie Mays. And the lead story is Mike Trout hit his 287th home run after his wife gave birth. He didn't give birth. He didn't do anything. When my wife gave birth, I pushed her shoulder a little bit because she needed a little shoulder rub. But, I mean, other than that.
My wife told me not to touch her.
So, I mean, I don't know what Trout was doing other than, watching. But just for the craziness of these people about this dude, the fact that that was the lead story, that his solo home run in a game they won by 2 was not more important than the 559th home run, 2-run homer from the greatest right-handed hitter we've ever seen.
I wish. I think it goes back to Pujols. Should have stayed in St. Louis.
Yeah, here's his next goals. With 2 home runs, he'll pass Willie Mays. With 5 RBI, he'll pass A-Rod in the all-time RBI list. Now, you wondering about that, folks? It's pretty neat list. But some folks nowadays don't think RBIs are important. But I'm just going to read the all-time RBI list. Zach, you tell me when I get to somebody who sucks at baseball. Hank Aaron, Babe Ruth, A-Rod, Pujols, Bonds, Gehrig, Stan Musial, Ty Cobb, Jimmy Foxx, Eddie Murray, Willie Hayes, Mel Ott, Yastrzemski, Ted Williams, King Griffey Jr. There's about your top 15 RBI men.
Eddie Murray don't get a lot
time.
of love, but that shows you Eddie Murray was really good.
That dude was consistently good. Like, he wasn't consistently great. He was consistently good. Like Bonds, you can say consistently great. Eddie Murray was consistently good. Pujols will move into 3rd all-time in RBIs when he passes A-Rod. And then he's got about 100 RBI behind Ruth, so we won't be seeing him this year, but next year he'll have a chance to pass Babe Ruth for all-time RBI. And then Hank Aaron's only 84 in front of Ruth, so maybe in 22.
How many RBIs has Pujols averaged last 2 years?
Give me
that kind of gives us a fair assessment of where he's at.
I'm gonna guess before I'm pulling up, but I'm gonna guess it was around 80
for 80 a year.
That's what
I was going to say 150 for the last 2 years. So that was putting me at 75.
So I'm gonna. Oh God, no, they didn't.
They take RBIs away.
No. I'm just gonna. I'll tell you in a minute how stupid this is. Hunter, we're gonna get into the stats in a second of Major League Baseball. Pujols, Zach. Let's see. Let me quit. With 12 runs, he'll pass Greg Biggio with 1844. Extra base hits with 21 extra base hits, he'll pass Babe Ruth. 37 more hits, regular hits, he'll pass LaJoy with 3,243 hits. And with 100 total bases, he'll pass Barry Bonds for total bases. Zach, you were asking about Pujols' RBIs last year. Last year he had 93. The year before that he only played 117 games, had 64.
So I said 150. That's pretty close.
Every year he's played a regular number of games in Anaheim, he's actually had 100 RBI. So 105. He got hurt, had 64. He played 105. He played 95. He had 119. He had 101. Then he got hurt, had 64. Then last year in 130 games, he had 93.
In his how many games did he play last year?
131.
I thought he was hurt last year.
He was.
Okay,
he still played 131 games.
Oh yeah. So he lost 30 games. They're losing how many games this year? 100?
100.
So he's probably going to come up with 40, 45 RBIs this year.
Yeah, almost, I would say, half a RBI game. Mm-hmm. So I would say, 30, 35 maybe this year. He's got 7 already.
So he'll be 70 away from Ruth at that point. Mm-hmm. And then he could hit it next year. He could pass it if they have a full season.
All right, Hunter. They've started posting WAR. You ready for this one?
Oh, God. Yeah.
In the Angels' 4 wins, Mike Trout has not helped his team win one of them. Not a single thing he's done to help the team win. He's got a 0.4 WAR.
Oh, that's awesome.
Has it done? So, for example, folks, in the first 2 wins, he had 1 hit and he scored 1 run in a game that they won by 3 or 4, so that didn't do anything. The last night's win, he had a solo home run in a 5-3 game when Pujols had a 2-run homer. Now, which one won that game more, the 2-run homer or the 1-run? When you win by 2.
The 2-run.
Pujols has a negative WAR. The wins that the Angels have, Trout didn't help in the actual wins. In the actual wins, he didn't help. And he's got a positive WAR and Pujols has a negative. So Trout should be like -4 WAR right now because they won 4 games without him doing nothing. But they don't count actual wins. They count whatever this fake stuff is. So I'm going to get in here. Good God. I was just waiting for that. Can't wait for them to start putting that crap on there. That's awesome. I just eat that up. So let's go back to so Hunter, I think he had a grand slam in one of their wins too. So or no, that was in a loss. So that didn't help. He's got 3 home runs, and scored 5 runs. And old Trout over here this year has they ain't even showing it. They're so scared. I can't. Where's his real stats? Show me splits. Like all these made up. He had 3 hits versus a left-hander on July 7th. Every July 7th, whatever. So Pujols has more home runs, more RBIs, and more runs, more everything. But you know what Trout's got? He struck out 8 times. Oh God, you want to know that one, Hunter? So Pujols has struck out 6 times in 32 at bats. Trout has struck out 8 times in 27 at bats. So better at strikeouts, better at home runs, better at RBIs, better at runs. And the other dude has a positive WAR, and one guy has a negative WAR. And one guy hit home runs in games they won, and they needed those runs, and the other one didn't. It's the dumbest stat of all time. It's just not a stat, folks. Quit listening to that crap. I can't express it.
I agree.
I can't express it anymore. All right, Hunter, who's winning the World Series? Cardinals, and then who?
Okay, wait a minute now.
You got your Braves in.
I got them in at least the playoffs. I mean, with the way the playoff format is now, they're probably getting in regardless of Soroka being the ace.
Yeah.
Since he's injured,
Okay.
But who do I have winning it?
I want to see you know who I'm pulling for if it's not the Cardinals, honestly? I want the Buffalo Blue Jays to win.
The Buffalo Blue Jays. The Buffalo Blue Jays just got the brakes beat off of them by the Braves.
Well, y'all might be the best team in the world.
We might be the best team in baseball.
I don't think
If
so.
we had Soroka,
Dansby Swanson's playing pretty good, though. I'll give you some of that.
I think he should be in NL MVP discussion already. I think that would be fair. I mean, he's in
who
the
else
top
would
5
be?
of 3 major statistical categories. He's in the top 5 of runs, RBIs, and batting average.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was.
So you can't say the Yankees. I'm gonna say the Twins because I hate the
See,
Yankees.
I don't want to say the Yankees either, so I would go with the Twins. Twins have got a better plus minus run differential.
I'll tell you what about the Twins. I'm surprised y'all said that. That's where I was gonna actually kind of lean a little bit on is the Twins, and my reason may be a little bit different than y'all's. The Indians have fell apart there a little bit. They're about 6-6. Had a hot start. Tom was excited, and they're backing up to the Royals real quick. But Hunter, just looking at as far as the Twins go, here's what they got going for them. Okay, they have, by my count, beat the Cardinals 2 out of their 3 wins. So I'm gonna that team's pretty good. So I was trying to figure out this whole time. They swept the Cardinals in 2 games. We didn't have a chance to beat them, and so that's why I'm picking them. So go Twins, and
Twins.
I'm pulling for Twins versus Buffalo Blue Jays in the American League.
Blue Jays.
Zach,
Should have been Charlotte Blue Jays.
would you call yourself Toronto right now? Would
I
not
would
call
go
yourself?
back.
Would you not? Right. We asked Terry.
I'd be the Vancouver Grizzlies.
Think about it. What if they win it and Toronto has the audacity to
That'd be
try to
awesome.
throw them a parade? Where would you have the parade if you won it, Hunter? Would you go to Buffalo? Would you tell Toronto to kick rocks?
I'd tell Toronto to kick rocks. I'd tell Toronto to kick rocks. You literally looked at us and said, "Get out. You can't play here." You literally said, "Get out. Like,
Yeah.
You cannot play. You cannot be here." So why, therefore, like if I'm Toronto and I'm any of the players in the post-game press conference, I would love for one of them to slip up and say, "Yeah, we're playing for the people of Buffalo." They ain't playing for the people of Toronto.
I know.
They don't give a damn.
I totally feel the same way.
That's-
I mean,
that's horrible.
I really would. I wrote down on our schedule, Zach, on the Braves schedule that it was Atlanta versus the Buffalo Blue Jays. I mean, it's not Toronto. It's not Toronto.
No.
All right, let's go over to college football, Hunter.
Okay.
Man, will they? Won't they? That's the big question. I don't think they will. I've been saying it for months. UConn has canceled their whole football season. I don't think the world's going to lose anything with that. But Division III fall championships canceled. Players are opting out. The Big Ten players are forming up, and the Pac-12 are forming up groups to basically say they won't play because of safety and / pay. They're trying to get their money that they won't deserve. They're trying to get paid.
That was only a matter of time. Yep.
The American Athletic Conference and the Sun Belt announced 8 game schedules plus 4 out of conference. So the Sun Belt's got like 20 teams. I don't know why in the hell they just wouldn't play in a regular 11 game schedule. I don't get why they have to play out of conference games. It just drives me crazy, Zach. I think couple of good things that have come from Corona and some of the adjustments they made. I've always wanted a shorter baseball season and bigger playoffs. They did that. And I've always wanted, if you're in the ACC, you play 11 ACC games. If you're in the SEC, you play 11 SEC games. Nobody in the NFL doesn't play people in their division and then plays other people in division, or they don't say, you know what, we're going to go play a CFL team in week 10 and 12, just so the CFL team can make some money. That's what they're saying. And all it is to me, and see if you agree with this, I think it was 4 teams last year made the bowls. 4 teams in the SEC made bowl games with losing records in the conference. So to me, the only reason they're playing those cupcakes is get those to be bowl eligible.
Games, get that money.
And then they can brag about all these teams that made the bowl. So when Alabama plays Mercer and Western Carolina on their schedules, you're just like, come on, guys. The Big Ten is set to start September 3rd, if you was wondering about that one. There's so much going on there, Hunter. I don't know. Do you want to start with anything specific yourself, or any comments on any of that? Really?
I just know this as well. I think UConn said that their men's football program will not be participating this year.
Do they have one?
I think I read that on Twitter. So that's a team from the American Conference.
I'm just playing with you.
Khalid Elamine could have been a left guard.
Huh?
Khalid Elamine could have been a left guard.
Yeah.
He beat them Blue Devils. Is Squeaky still watching? If you are Squeaky, you want some Khalid Elamine in your life.
So that's a team that's not going to be partaking this year in college football. I mean, the Ivy League as a whole said they ain't doing nothing, so none of the Ivy League schools are participating. I wouldn't be surprised if other schools back out, and I'm not going to be surprised at all when I say this. If we start seeing some players get banned because they're bucking up to the system. Not necessarily get banned, basically get cut from their own programs, their scholarships revoked, because the players are taking a stand right now, and that's what I meant when I said when you first brought it up. I'm not like it was bound to happen. It was only a matter of time before the players decided, that we want compensation to go along with us playing. They've been saying that for years. A lot of them wanted compensation just for their likeness, but now you're asking them to go out here and compete and basically put their health on the line for no pay at all. And in today's age, you can't even ask anybody to do that. I know people that won't even come and help you unless you buy them lunch, regardless, just doing it for free. So I'm not surprised by that at all. But that's where it's going to get ugly. Is the Big Ten, the Pac-12, they're together, kind of almost forming their own players' union where they want to try and get compensated. Then I wouldn't be surprised, obviously, if the Big 12, the SEC, the ACC, they join. But you'll start seeing coaches take real offense to it and say, how dare you buck the system? And it's going to rain down. They're going to basically say, I'm the judge, jury, and executioner here, and I hereby cut you from my program if you join this. And that's a real problem. You see it in the workforce in general. Some guys will be like, we want to unionize, and then their bosses will be like, that's a negative ghostwriter. We'll just get rid of you and get somebody that wants to just be here and not be a part of the union. So watch out for that as college football is starting to take a big shift in landscape amongst, just what players want. They have a voice now.
Well, let me read what happened at Washington State, or what's happening in Washington State. The parents are claiming their kids are getting cut and released from the program. Here's one of the parents paraphrasing what the coach just said. He said they're still on scholarship, but they're released from team duties, which is what they're saying is that they've taken their locker room jerseys and everything away from them. They're not allowed to work out with the team. This is for players that have said that they were going to
unionize,
and or even sit out for the year for Corona. So one of the guys said he was going to sit out. I think he had sickle cell anemia, and the coach said, "Well, if you're too sick or not, or you're scared to be, basically be in play." He wanted to work out and be on the team in practice. He just didn't want to go to the games where all the people would be, and the coach basically told him if you're not healthy enough to do that, you're not healthy enough to be in the locker room. He said the coach basically told him that it would be a bad look, Hunter, to have the guys who were sitting out on the team not to actually be in the locker room and playing when they could be spreading the virus to other people as well, because they're not going to the games and doing the same protocols that they are.
I don't know if I agree with that. I think it's just as bad of a look on the coach to his players by not allowing the team to be together. Just because somebody opts out, you don't need to vilify them. You don't need to excommunicate them just because they opt out. I mean, sure, in the NBA with the bubble, the way that it's set up, I know Kevin Durant and Kyrie and them couldn't go because if you opted out, you just can't go down there and hang out. But I mean, this is a college atmosphere. These are teammates. And if he wants to work out, there's a difference, because when you're at the school, you're on the campus, you're in the facilities, that in itself is its own bubble. It's when you leave that campus and go and play against the rival team in an away game that you're no longer in your bubble. So I could understand a player being like, look, I feel safe when I'm here with you guys working out, we're at practice, yada, yada, yada. It's just I don't know about rubbing up on somebody else that might not be following the same protocols that we are. So that's how I look at it, as the player like saying he doesn't really want to go and play the games, but he still wants to be a part of the team. You're essentially telling him, well, if you don't go to the games, then you're just not a part of the team.
Right.
Like, I'm sorry, you can't do anything. And I think
there's
that's a bad
there's
look.
50 walk-ons on every team that don't go. Some of them don't go to the games. Like half the team doesn't travel, and they practice every day. We all know what this is, man. These coaches. So the question is, Hunter, when they say, well, we're going to be safe, what does safe mean? Does safe mean nobody's going to get it? Because that's not going to happen. What football team has had a year where nobody got the flu, or nobody got a cold,
Right.
or nobody got injured? So for arguing about what's safe, that, and again, how many Major League Baseball players have actually been hospitalized? Or any of these pro players has actually been hospitalized through this. Freddie Freeman got it. He said he got pretty sick, but did he ever go? Actually, he didn't stay in the hospital or go on, or any type of treatment like that, did he, Hunter?
I don't believe so. I think he was able to just self-quarantine at the house.
Right.
And I will say this for the player, if he has sickle cell anemia, then he has every right to be concerned.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Because he has a pre-existing condition, and he wouldn't know how his body would react to the virus.
Well, the guys with sickle cell don't go to Denver and Colorado when they play. They don't go into high altitudes either. And I don't know exactly the altitudes of all those places on the West Coast. I don't know if some of that has anything to do with that at all.
Right.
Either.
And that's so unfair to put that on a player too, because it's like he didn't ask to be that way. He didn't ask, obviously, to be sickle cell anemia, if that is the case. Or let's just say, because, there are probably a lot of players that might be like this because they can't help it genetically, or they're diabetic. They didn't ask for that. It just kind of happened, and their body's not going to react well if they do put themselves in a position to possibly contract this virus, because we know it obviously is a lot harder for people to fight off if they already have a pre-existing condition that they're already fighting with. So if you're the coach, and for you essentially to just excommunicate the kid because he's looking out for his health, sure, he can still go to class. But what if classes are all virtual this year? He's just going to be sitting at home, and he's going to be nowhere near his teammates. He's just going to have to root them on from the sideline.
Well, what's weird about that, and Zach, you can tell me your comment about it, is that kind of the rule that they're leaning towards is if you're playing sports in high school or college, you have to be in classes.
Right.
And to me, doesn't that double your risk? And you should have the regular students in class, and then you can virtual and tutor your athletes. To me, but by saying the athletes have to be in the school and the non-athletes don't, like, isn't that double exposing the athletes as opposed to the non? Real quick, Hunter, the argument I was told was that if the athletes are healthy enough to play, they're healthy enough to come to school, and that's not the same strategy as trying to keep everyone, quote unquote, safe.
But what I've heard as well is that, like, think about it. What are the athletes going to do, though, if their teacher elects that it's going to be all virtual? Like, the teachers, especially at the universities, they have the choice whether or not they're going to have this class virtually or they're going to have it in seat. I don't know quite how it is at the high school level, but you're talking about college professors. They have the say all and end all for their classroom. So if they're doing all virtual and this kid's classes are all virtual, what are you going to tell him? He just can't play now because it's not in seat?
Considering what I know / think of most college professors, I would say most of them are going to not want to come to class and have anything to do with it. I think they're all going to want to do distance learning. A lot of teachers, a lot of college kids, they don't like their kids, and they don't. Some of them don't even like being around them. Some of them are doing it for the paycheck. And then some of them definitely, they
got tenure. They just do what they want.
Right. I don't have any confidence in them doing. I don't have any confidence in anyone doing what's best for the athletes and the kids. And when all this started, if the pros weren't going to get it right and the pros weren't going to get it in, I don't think the amateur athletes should and would and could get it in. Zach, I mean,
I'm still laughing at what's going on right now, and I'll give y'all a few statistics that I was just brought to my attention the other day. Is in 2009, you remember H1N1? Everybody remembers it,
right?
The first flu strain. In that year, they had 60 million people in America catch that.
That is
60 million.
1/6 of the country. That's 1 in every 6 people.
There's only been 4 million coronavirus cases. Okay,
that's 1 in every 9 people.
And we see the pandemics going on, the mask and everything. And I was looking back at an article.
Actually, I might have
see,
did that even wrong.
I was seeing an article of what they did in the sports in 2009 with H1N1, and the first one that popped up was Marcus Banks, and it was saying that they was going to have to take some precautions, just not let them around the team. But there was no bubble back in 2009. There was no hoopla about it in 2009, and we had 4 million to 60 million difference in people getting this with no vaccine.
That's a pretty substantial difference, Kevin. I would check your math. I'm pretty sure
90.
that's not just 1 in 9.
It's 90, not 9.
That's a lot.
I forgot the zero, Hunter.
I'm about to say, wait a minute now.
As soon as I said it, I'm like, wait a minute, that don't sound right. There's a zero. I'm pretty decent with the math. It's 1 in 90 chance now to get it, have it, and then like Zach said, the H1N1, you had a 1 in 6 people chance. And there's a big difference between 1 in 6 and 1 in 90, which is about 12.
You're talking about
times
amount of people getting it and what they're doing and how they're trying to keep you from doing stuff. Even out in California, they said that 8,000 people had died of this in California.
Yeah.
And they give the total number of people that lived in California. It was in the 50, 60 million range. Out of the 8,000 people that died of this particular virus, 4,000 were over the age of 70, and the other 4,000 had a pre-existing condition. So you have a 99.9% chance of survival.
Canada, I think, has one person that they've officially listed under 20 that has died, and they banned the baseball team.
Yeah. So and that's where I was going with all this. We've got our professional athletes that are elite, be tested all the time to see if they got any pre-existing conditions. They will get over it. So that's my take on it. I think we're overblowing it.
Yeah, just sitting here looking through this they interviewed Wake Forest coach. I'm trying to get through it. To me, Hunter, here was another question I had, and with Zach the other day. Zach, you haven't had me ask this, but these college rosters are right at 100. Mm-hmm. They only play 40 or 50. I mean, NFL has 53 on a on a
regular
thing.
roster.
Yeah. So, should they even allow the walk-ons this year to even come play?
Is that over the 100?
No, that's including. There's about 40 non-scholarship, 50 non-scholarship players on a team. So should those guys even be allowed to even play? If we're told by college football coaches and high school football coaches all the time that the education and safety of the kids is the most important thing. Now, some of us think they've been blowing smoke up our asses for years, which I do. Yeah. They don't give a rat's ass about that. But then again, there are some that do. But I would say the majority don't. And to me, Hunter, there's no point. If you're going to sit there and say, we're looking for safety, these kids don't even travel anyway. The walk-ons aren't there. Shouldn't the walk-ons be concentrating on school? Shouldn't, Zach, if you don't have a
chance making a team.
Basically, the average, these teams have one kid that can make an NFL roster. So I'm talking the 50 that don't have, I'm saying the 50 don't have any chance in hell to ever make an NFL team. As far as the walk-ons and whatever, there shouldn't, and I know there's outliers out there with walk-ons, but for the most part, I tell those 50 kids, sorry. This is a different year. This is all scholarship. This is, we see the videos where they give kids scholarships that have walked on, which is wonderful and outstanding. But maybe those kids probably should have went to a different school and got a scholarship somewhere else and something like that.
Well, they would have got a scholarship if they were at a lower level school. I mean,
so I'm wondering what you think about, should they allow the walk-ons at 100 people? And that's what the coach for Wake Forest is talking about. We coach 110 players with a staff of 50. How can I go home and tell my wife there was no way I came in contact with the corona?
And see, I'm working in it. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm out in. I see a lot of people a day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been doing this since March, and how many people come through my store?
Should fast food workers be dropping like flies?
I mean,
like you said, you see a ton, and people don't realize how many people come to the grocery store. I mean, it's just
especially now because they couldn't go out to eat.
They can't go out to eat, and you're cooking your own stuff. So
I mean, we had a lot of people in the store every day, all time of day. So and you know, thank goodness I hadn't caught anything.
Hunter, it seems like the goal and what they say is we want to keep people safe, but as soon as one person they're going to shut it down like they do baseball. And I don't know if that's the right way to do it. Why start it? 'Cause if your goal is nothing, I don't think it's going to happen. And why start it? I'm just, you know, to me, it's going to waste everybody's time and it's going to piss a bunch of people off.
I'm with you on that. To me, it's coming down to this: if you believe that if one person catches it, we're just going to shut it down, then why even start it up?
Yeah, because that's not going to happen.
Because I'm going to tell you this. It's inevitable. Just like every year, it's inevitable somebody's going to catch the flu, whether it's me or you. Hell, people have to realize you can even catch the flu sometimes through the flu vaccine.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just happens. It's the live virus, but it is it's like kind of the virus. It's like what's the correct term for it? I can't remember exactly.
It's a dead virus.
But it's not the live virus.
Yeah.
But you can get sick off of it. So if we can come to the point where we realize, okay, people are going to get it and not freak out as soon as someone gets it. Maybe just go along the guidelines. Like, think about it. When you're sick, what do most people tell you to do? Stay home. Don't go to work. Don't go out because you're going to just get other people sick. You can do the same exact thing here with college athletics. Oh, you're not feeling good today? Okay, we'll have somebody come by and give you a test later. Just don't leave your dorm, or don't leave your residential housing that you're staying in. Okay, don't come in. Do you know maybe there was somebody that you were working out with and fooling around with yesterday? If so, then we'll get them tested too. If it comes back negative, we'll just continue on. In the case of college athletics, they can do exactly how the MLB's doing. College athletics, or at least college football, you said they got 100 players. Okay. Looks like you got 2 or 3 extra reserves for each position.
Right.
So you can just keep going. You can keep going. And I know that's like a bad mentality some people would think for you to have. It's like, oh, well, you're just going to leave the other person behind. Well, damn, that's life. I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, you just got to keep going sometimes. You just got to keep going. The same thing with what I've always preached in baseball. What was the point of you having these 30 to 60 other guys in waiting if you were just going to shut shit down as soon as one person called it? There was no point of you even starting it. And especially when you don't have the utopian almost bubble aspect where everybody's just staying in here and they're always tested and they're always sanitized. You can't do that, especially on a college campus for these college athletics. I said it a few weeks ago, maybe a few shows ago. How are you going to police what these students do when they get done after games or after workouts? You just going to follow them home? You're going to make them sleep at the facilities? I mean, it's a college campus. We all know you're sitting at this table and me on the other side of this camera. What the hell happens at a college campus? Okay, especially for athletes.
Well,
right.
If they're not, and are they going to have students on campus? Not everybody chooses their school based on academics or sports, right, or other things. You do a comparative. You kind of do a comparative thing on where you want to go, Hunter. Like, so for example, I liked Appalachian. The summers were nice.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't mind the cold. The wind sucked going to class, but you'd go to spring break and you're in Florida and you're on the beach with tons of honeys, we'll put it that way, and everyone scantily dressed, men and women, everybody. And then when you go back to Boone at the mid March into March, Zach, we still have a snowstorm left. There's always one snowstorm at the end of March. And so you go back up there and you're covered and you're wearing your Columbias and you just come back from the beach. You got a nice suntan to wear under your Columbia jacket. And you sit there and think, why am I doing this? Like, I could be going to school today, get out of school, and then go to the beach. or go somewhere nice. And instead, I'm not. The guys in Wilmington that came from Wilmington, they struggled with the ones that embraced the cold and like the skiing and stuff. They did okay. The surfers that came up there, but the ones that are just there for school and stuff, they struggled. Like, they just wanted to be home and be back in Wilmington. And I'm just saying, there's probably a lot of guys on that team. If you're a walk on one of these teams, or would you even want to go to practice? Would you even want to play, knowing you're not going to play? There's not going to be any people in the stands there to see you anyway. I mean, honestly, I think a lot of guys play it for just to say that they were on a team, that they were on a college football roster, that they practiced. There's girls in the stands. You're standing there next to cheerleaders. There's a lot of reasons you're on that football team other than to make an NFL roster. It's just some of these guys, they're going to struggle with that, like you said.
Yeah, I think you're right. Think about it. Some of these colder schools, let's not just say App alone. Let's say some of the Big Ten schools. They recruit a lot of guys out of the South. At least Ohio State does. You mean to tell me a walk-on at Ohio State who's from, like, Georgia or South Carolina is really going to want to go up there when it gets cold and snowy over being able to stay down here in the South? It's going to be tough, especially if you tell them you're not going to be able to just play in general.
I think that's one of the big reasons about not having the transfer rules is because once you get a kid there and you're like, oh shit, this sucks. They can't leave.
Yeah.
Oh, we got you, buddy. You made a decision. Think about that. You made a decision at 18 and 17 with your parents. You can't never change that. And if you do, you got to sit out a whole year in your prime. If you're a running back, you're just like, okay, I'll just sit out it all. Speaking of sitting out, Zach, did you talk with Caleb Farley too? You ain't been here since he made his announcement. Did you see that?
I did not.
Maiden's Caleb Farley announced he's skipping the season no matter what.
I didn't see that.
He's a projected first-round pick. But
really?
Do you remember? Did you ever go see him play?
Did not.
You
talking about the pitcher?
No. Cornerback.
Oh, for
Virginia Tech played at Maiden.
Yeah.
He played quarterback at Maiden. I don't know if you went. I guess I don't know if you went to that game. I broadcast one of his games when he played Lincoln.
I did not.
It was Sage's when Sage was at Lincoln.
I did not see them play Maiden. I watched them play East Lincoln.
Okay. So I did that game in the house. Me and Jason did that game. And it was, Zach said, Lincoln was putting Sage at spy at safety. The only thing Maiden was doing was running quarterback sweeps, and they couldn't keep him contained.
With Sage,
running spy.
That's all he was doing.
So they would hike it to Caleb, quarterback sweep right, quarterback sweep left, dare you to stop it, and they couldn't. Honest to God, I don't know how many times I was just like, wow. I was so just amazed. In person, I don't think I've ever seen a faster player, straight line speed, than that kid, Caleb Farley from Maiden. And, I think Kewan Pryor and Norris Hopper have the best feet, the most elusive players I've seen. But straight line speed, they can't run with that kid. And so when I say first round pick,
yeah, he's got the track speed.
I mean, this. If you're a first round pick corner, you can run.
Whew.
And he's tall, and he's a pretty good corner. I think he'd make a great kick returner. And when they say first round pick, Zach, if you're a first round pick, is there any reason, or even second round at this point, to even play the season? Because some guys are going to do good, and they're going to make exceptions and say, you know what, you didn't play this year, but you came to the combine, you came to this, you've worked out, and there's a such thing as workout warriors in these. And to me, if you're first and second round pick, would you even think about playing at all this year?
No, because even if you're, cornerback, a first round cornerback is a dime a dozen anyway.
Yes.
So he's already got that under his belt.
Yes.
You'll get some that's this might be a top 10 pick, but if he's already there, even if he drops a second or third, and he's still gonna play. So I wouldn't hurt myself.
Well, think about this. Trevor Lawrence. What if you come out there and practice and do all this, and then Hunter, let's say week 3, you sprain it. No, let's not tear anything. Let's just say sprain an ankle or pull a hammy or something.
Yeah.
And then
sprains can be pretty tough. Yeah.
And then in week 4 they cancel the season.
Oof.
Think about that. What if you come back and you play? You get hurt, and then they cancel the season a week or two later, just not on you, but just because of the corona. And then now you came back to school, did all this, and wasted a lot of time. To me, even high school kids, there's a particular kid around here, I'm not going to say his name, that has already agreed or committed to. I'll say two kids, Hunter, from the same team. One kid committed to a SEC school, another kid is committed to an ACC school. Zach, if you're already committed to these schools, and they've already give you the offer and you come in, they're talking about if North Carolina doesn't play, going to South Carolina and play. Would you consider, if you've already got a commitment and an offer from a school at this point, play from an SEC school? Would you consider coming back and trying to play the high school year, as much as even if it's you're coming back with your team? That's one thing, but going to another school, another state, like what's the point of risking that when you've already got the offer that you wanted?
Yeah, I mean, as long as the offer, if you've committed, everything's good.
They haven't officially signed, I guess, Hunter, because that's you can't
I would hate
do
to
that.
lose it. Is what I'm saying in my mind.
I guess they could rescind their offers,
and give it to
but
somebody
are they going to
else.
rescind? Are they going to rescind offers to top 20 talents in the country? I'm not sure about that.
Because then what's going to happen
so.
is, let's just say if it was Georgia, then Alabama's going to come in and swoop them up. It's going to be a competitor.
I'll tell you the two. I'll say North Carolina, Missouri. I'll say that are the schools these kids have committed to. And you've already got your offer. You've accepted it. You're going to come there and play. I just don't. I don't see a reason in playing because, like you said, you could get hurt. One thing, and you don't tell people you don't not play to get hurt, but you've already accomplished what your goal was, right? Is to get into an SEC or ACC football program.
The example I would use in this whole thing as a college guy, it'd be Tua. If Tua didn't play last year, where would he? He wouldn't have dropped to 5. Getting drafted, I don't think, if he don't hurt his leg.
Yeah,
he would have been at least 1 or 2.
You think so?
I think so. I mean. So
and that didn't even have anything to do with the corona. It's just him getting hurt in his hip.
That was what I was using because you were saying, would you waste a year getting hurt? Possibly. He hurt his draft status by getting hurt. So if you come out, you're already there. I don't think I want to get hurt. It's a different time and day, I guess.
All right, Hunter. I'm just the Big Ten and the Pac-12. Forming these groups, they're trying to. Making some demands and trying to make some. Here's some Big Ten players demands to give you guys an idea of what's going on here. Third party approved by players to administer COVID testing and to enforce all COVID health safety standards. Sufficient penalties for non-compliance. I don't know about that. Mandate for athletic personnel to report suspected violations. Whistleblower protections. So they basically want to tell and snitch on each other if somebody gets it. Mm-hmm. Automatic red shirt for any player who misses any competitions because of a positive test or mandatory quarantine. And let's see, preserve athletic eligibility, scholarship, and roster for any player who opts out of the athletic participation or is unable to play more than 40% of their scheduled season because of COVID. Coverage for all out-of-pocket expenses related to COVID incurred by athletics. That's not going to happen. Have you been here when we talked about Clemson, what they do, their insurance? No. Clemson requires each player to have insurance to cover whatever their non-football related medical costs are. They're only going to pay if you get hurt on the football field or anything.
That's interesting.
And they require them to. You know what else they do? Just because they're so nice, they sell it to them.
Like it wasn't making enough money.
Right. So Clemson is giving them a scholarship and then requiring them to buy, and they're like $2,200 health plan, Zach. They're not paying them, and they're requiring them to spend $2,200 of their own money to buy insurance from the school.
With the amount of money they get, Ian, you think that would all be taken care of?
So we did the math on it, and at 100 players times 2,200 is what? 22. That's
220,000 or 2.2 million.
220,000.
220,000.
Dabo makes $9.3 million. He could cut the 0.3 off his thing, Zach, still make $9 million, and pay for every single one of his players' health care plan. But remember, he cares about the players. He cares about them so much he wants them to play football this year. That's what he cares about, Hunter. That $9 million, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Horrible.
That's why he wants the season to come in. Absolutely. You notice he didn't pay out of pocket anything. You notice the old Dabo didn't take no pay cut.
Yeah, Hunter, do you think, Zach, what do you think? Do you think Clemson makes Dabo pay for his own insurance?
Yeah.
They
I
give
highly
him
doubt
$9 million a year, and then he probably, and I'm pretty sure they pay for his insurance.
Oh yeah, they totally do.
So
There's no question.
The football players don't get they have to pay the school for insurance, and Dabo gets it for free.
Mm-hmm.
Between that and solving how we can get them paid for getting NCAA football back on PlayStation.
Well, yeah.
Please.
I've had an idea sitting here thinking about that, pondering how we could do that. They could pay them and not make them ineligible. All they would have to do is say, we'll pay you after you graduate.
Well, that's one of the proposals for someone is doing is paying them through trust.
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't understand. And we've got someone, a friend Hunter, on our text and everything, that believes that if you give a kid an 18 or 19-year-old $40,000, he's going to waste it and spend it and ruin his life. And I'm like, how much was Tiger making when he was 18 or 19? Or what? I knew he went to Stanford a couple of years, so I guess when he turned 2021. But I mean, Zach, weren't you working full time when you was 18 or 19?
Yep.
Did anybody say you're making too much money?
No.
Did anybody say you're going to ruin your life by working?
Mm-mm.
So if you're going to get paid, so the scholarship with Duke was $50,000, but the argument was over $40,000. So pick one; it don't matter. If you're going to get paid $50,000 to work at Walmart, what's the difference between getting paid $50,000 to work as a football player
And get a college degree?
And so, and then my point on that is also is I think when they talk about paying the kids or paying the players, and the only thing they ever talk about is or think about is the football players and basketball players. But to me, you give, if you guarantee these scholarships at Duke, a scholarship's $50,000. What if you're a wrestler? You can say, I'll give you $50,000 a year, Zach, and you can do with what you want. So if you want to go to the community college and pay $10,000 and then do whatever, but you still use your money on your family or something else. Think about the generational wealth that we could change in this country just for those kids alone if you actually paid them. And then if you say put it in a trust and they come out with over $150,000,
and they're set.
The math on, I think we did it on Chaz one time, wasn't it, Hunter? It was like $200,000 a year for a NFL quarterback or a college quarterback or something like that he could just put in the bank.
Yeah, when he comes out.
Nobody's. Just weird that people like.
Well, this shows you how much money they're actually making off people.
I mean, just to think that I don't want to pay him because he's young. Like, that's what does that matter? I don't know. If they spend the money, it's going to the economy. It's not like they're just lighting fire. I don't know. There's just so many weird ideas or things about that. All right, Hunter. Anything else on college football that I've missed?
No, nothing that you missed. I guess we're all just still waiting to see on what the final verdict is on it when they're playing. Like division, most of them not starting until September. So we got like a whole month.
Division 3
can happen.
Division 3 just announced all fall sports championships are canceled. So that's Division 3. The NCAA Board of Governors basically handed off to the Division 1 and 2 Board of Directors. The NCAA is not going to make a decision on anything. Is what they're saying.
There's too much money and there's too much money involved. No, the NCAA won't do anything. No. They're gonna because they know how much money they can make right now, and they really want it to happen. Think about it. Those television contracts are gonna be outrageous. Outrageous.
Coach K and them's already pushing and talking about the basketball. He said that the sport can't afford to lose another March Madness, and that's what he means. He can't afford to not get his $9 million a year too from them missing. Zach, if you don't have football and basketball, don't have these sports, should the coaches still be getting paid to play? I mean, coach or whatever they're doing.
All I know is Roy Williams donated $600,000, but I didn't see Coach K do anything. I mean, that's just me though.
What has happened? I've missed this. I have a couple people ask me this. High school football. Any updates?
I don't know.
They've been pushed back 2 weeks.
They've got all these.
Listen, I hate to say it, but I don't think it happens.
I'm worried about.
I don't think it will at all. They keep talking about what all these phases are and whatnot, and then, the Athletic Association of North Carolina hasn't been always the swiftest on top of everything, and doing. And they're not doing what's best. Speaking of $9 million, they make that a year on high school sports. They keep around 3.5 for 19 people's salaries. They put $3.5 million in the bank, and the Athletic Association in North Carolina spends about $60,000 to $70,000 on scholarships. Well, you can do the math on that, Hunter. I mean, $600,000 on scholarships. We'll do the math on that, Hunter. There's 100 counties in North Carolina, and you divide 60,000 by 100, or 600,000 by 100. You're not spending that much per county on athletic scholarships at all, or any scholarships at all. So, and you talk about Roy, it says donated $600,000 to fund scholarships for spring sports seniors whose seasons were impacted by the coronavirus. That's nice. That's a nice gesture. But my point is, why would he have to when North Carolina has billions of dollars in an endowment? Why would they have to when they make so much money off of in endorsements, Jordan Brand, all that money, any of that. So that's, that's kind of, well, anytime they start donating to causes and donating to things, I always like to read and watch out. Zach, I think the lady that just divorced Bezos donated a couple billion to causes, right? If you got $100 million, Zach, and you gave it to a cause, what if you gave it $1 million to 100 people? Would that not be more impactful than to give it to a cause who's going to pay people who work for their charity, and then buy this and that, and then you could change lives. I've always thought the lottery, I was thinking I didn't do with it, but instead of giving 100 or 200, 300 million to one dodo, why wouldn't you just every time you got $1 million draw and give it to somebody, and then you could one piece by piece just infuse hundreds of dollars into these millions of dollars into poor communities and poor folks like that. And I think that'd be a better way. All right, Hunter, let's move over. You want NBA, NFL? What you want? Baseball? We don't talk baseball.
Just whatever you want.
Well, the only NBA is the only thing that's going on right now.
The only one that is really happening is the NBA. The NFL still just doing like their own.
Now, what do
OTAs
you
right
think?
now.
What they did with the players, Hunter? They gave them a deadline, which is tomorrow, to opt in or opt in or out of the season.
I think that was a smart idea. I do. I think that was a smart idea by the NFL to basically say, look, we got to get a decision going on who's playing and who's not, because as of right now, we're still planning on work starting whenever the first game of the NFL is. Seriously, that's exactly what they're doing. So I don't blame them at all for implementing this. The damn New England Patriots seem to have lost almost half their roster to it. They've all
I just don't say
decided
you
to
give people a deadline on that. What if things change? Like what happens in a month, and when so if everybody on your team gets it, you just can't opt out. You just sit there and be like, okay, I guess I'll get it too.
Well, no, because think about it. It's people. We're this far into it. Everybody should understand the risks.
Well, what about this?
Hunter,
I guess what I'm kind of saying is, again, with these rosters saying football, training camp rosters are 85 folks? Like,
I think.
Like, I can understand maybe I would say, hey, guys, let us know before training camp so we can get the 85th people in here. But once training camp starts and if people get sick or something happens, like what if you get sick? What if you get sick? You can't opt out after this date. Is that a rule, or I got so many questions.
I truly don't know. They might. I mean, I don't know. Everything seems to be just so fluid throughout all the other leagues. It wouldn't surprise me if the NFL says, okay, we're going to give you a second date. You're going to be able to go through OTAs. We're going to get closer and closer to the start date of the season. Because what I'm saying is, if the season is like right around the corner and it's maybe a week away, okay, you guys have basically committed. You understood the risks. We gave you ample time to decide if you were playing or not. That's the same thing how I felt with the MLB. You know, how Cespedes just out of nowhere said, I'm opting out, and all these guys are just opting out, and they're only 12 games in. I'm like, well, you knew the risk going in. You knew what the risk was. You signed up for it. Okay, go ahead. But you knew what the risk was, so don't act shocked that players are catching it.
Right.
Don't act shocked.
I get that. All right, you want to talk about Bill Barnwell's Hall of Fame guide. Zach, these are predictions for each team that might make the Hall of Fame. Real quick, Hunter, there was a fuss on Twitter today. Some Charlotte fans were upset and were offended because of the Boston folks talking about Cam Newton. If that's gonna surprise you, I'm gonna read.
Well, Cam's on this list. Cam's on this list for New England.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna read the what it said, and this is in 100. Tell me this is not exactly something that we said on our show about Cam's situation. I'm pretty sure that I specifically said this because, you know, if you know the Patriots way and have listened to anything they've said over the years, this is what they say. So this is from an article up in Boston. It says, Belichick surely understands that Cam Newton, like most players, performs best when he's allowed to be himself. There is room for exuberance, personality, and joke around in the halls of Gillette. But from no player will Bill Belichick tolerate thin skin or pouting that diminishes his full effort. According to Love, I don't know who this is, the Panthers' last coaching staff did both of those. This is him. This is just my opinion, but I don't feel like Cam can take the pressure of coaches talking down to him about his play. If he had a bad game in Carolina, the staff wouldn't say much to him because they may have felt he could be a little frail or maybe pout a little. They never really corrected him to the point that Bill Belichick used to correct Tom Brady. And that was, I'm pretty sure I've said that for weeks, that one issue that they'll have that I may have. If Cam's healthy, I think he'll play hard and play. But, you know, you talk about the first down dances and whatnot, but to me, it's the accepting criticism. That is a talent, skill, virtue that a lot of people do not have, especially younger folks. And if you ask Brady, ask Gronk, ask any of the Patriots, the hardest thing about being on that team, or one of the hardest, Zach, was you could win 42-10 on Sunday.
He'd tell you what you done wrong.
And on Monday, you were the worst player ever. You sucked. He would tell you how bad you are. So if Cam, you know, Hunter squeaks out a game 24-18 and he dives in for a touchdown to win and does the Superman and all that, and he comes in on Monday expecting praise and pats on the back, and Belichick telling him he sucked and he should have threw the ball in that play, how will he react? And that's one of the things that I was wondering, like, some players are coached different, and I'm pretty sure Zach and Hunter, he has never been coached that way to be told he made bad plays. Do you think?
Go ahead. I was just going to say, I've always said that I think he had a coachability problem, mostly because, what was he? He's 8-9 years into his NFL career, and we still sit here and question his throwing mechanics. I've questioned it for years. He always wants to throw off that back foot, you know, and they never seemed to be sound at any time. He could never seem to work on his short to medium range passes. You know, I always had a question about his coachability. And if that, you know, if that story holds any merit, then it just seems like people were scared to coach him because they didn't know how he would take it. So, I mean, that's all I have to say on it. Is just I've always had questions on it, and that kind of just, you know, proved me kind of right. He had a coachability.
Even not even Ron Rivera, Hunter, as an assistant coach, would you feel comfortable, you know, admonishing the quote unquote star player and face of the franchise?
No,
that's your
I'm
job.
Not sure if I mean, not really, because I don't know if he's going to go to upper management and be like, yo, who's this guy think he is? And I'm losing my job the next week just because I made the superstar mad. That's how coaches got it. Like, people that don't realize superstars hold a lot of merit. Like, if you were a face of a franchise and a superstar, you mean Aaron Rodgers couldn't walk up to the Green Bay ownership group of some sort and be like, look, man, we got to get rid of this guy. You think Tom Brady, when he was as high and mighty as he was in New England, couldn't maybe walk up to Bill Belichick if someone was on his nerves and be like, hey, I don't know about this guy. Like, these superstars, man, they got a little bit of pull. And obviously, I'm just speaking this because Tepper's only been there, 2 years now? Because think about it, this would have been, this would have been the Jerry Richardson days. Whenever Richardson, that was like his baby. That was the one that he chose and was going to be the one to lead him to the promised land. He could have. It doesn't surprise me if Cam Newton and his star power would have been able to go up and say, "I don't know who he thinks he is questioning me."
Yeah,
you almost have to. You almost feel like you have to walk on eggshells around him because you don't know if it's going to be costing you your job.
Now, I'm not saying he can't accept criticism, but it just seems to me, and somebody from inside the Panthers organization is saying that, and that's something that. It's not even a Cam thing. It's that clearly Brady and Gronk and those folks have said that was the hardest part. And every position. Being told you suck after thinking you have a good day is aggravating. Probably.
We've seen some of the antics that he pulled on the sideline with the thing over his head. The towel over his head. We've seen what he did after the Super Bowl at the press conference. That is with cameras on.
You think Belichick will jerk it?
Oh, no, he won't put him back in.
Towel over his head.
He'll cut him. He will cut him. Cam has nothing that's going to protect him from getting cut.
Did you know that Zach? You say that, and then I watched the shows on TV, and where Belichick said that Cam's going to have to practice, he's going to win his job, position. And the people on TV lost their minds. Like, you can't make Cam Newton fight for his job. You can't tell him that he deserves better. And I'm like. That's not how Belichick works.
No, and he is in a different system.
And you've got to, you sign up for it. And I'm sure Cam's never had to. Who did he sit behind? Tebow, and then he transferred.
Yeah, I was actually looking it up just now. But I'll give you the perfect example of somebody going there thinking that they're owed a spot, and he did not make it. Was Chad Johnson?
I was about to say Chad Johnson.
And was he not an outstanding wide receiver?
He didn't even put him on the field a lot of the times. He would just be over on the sideline.
You know why he didn't put him on the field?
He didn't know the plays.
He could not read the playbook. Could not memorize it. So he didn't get to play.
Yeah.
That's it. And if Cam comes in thinking that his athletic ability is going to overshadow everything else, that is not what they do in New England.
All right, Hunter. We'll start New England with this list. I skipped over some teams that people nobody really care about.
We don't got to do all the teams. We can just do the teams of interest.
So in New England, here's some, and I knew a lot of this, and a lot of people don't. Cam has an MVP award. It says, which goes a long way to pushing any player towards the Hall of Fame, except there's probably 15 to 20 MVPs that aren't in the Hall of Fame. I can go back and read them all if you want me to. The former's quarterback has only 2 other Pro Bowls besides the 2015 season, Zach. Did you know that? He only made 3 Pro Bowls so far in his career, and none of them since the 2015. So since he made the Super Bowl, let's say since he beat Russell Wilson in the NFC Championship game, he's not won another playoff game. He's not made another Pro Bowl since. And Pro Bowl's voting. And then people get hurt. So, like, if you're a good quarterback getting voted, he's got, like, basically half the league. If you're in the top 8, you got a chance of making a Pro Bowl every year. And he never did it after the 2015 season. So it says he needs to have a second act and another selling point, either win a Super Bowl or competing for another MVP or making some Pro Bowls to have a viable path to the gold jacket. I'm glad they kept it real a little bit there, Hunter. Vic's not in the Vic's not in the Hall of Fame.
And I think he's got a way better resume.
Right. Randall Cunningham
without the MVP.
Randall Cunningham's not in the Hall of Fame. Is Donovan McNabb going to make the Hall of Fame?
Randall should be.
Warren Moon got in. Randall should be. Warren Moon got in. And he's not really a runner. I'm just trying to think running. Steve McNair won MVP. He's not going to get in the Hall of Fame, is he? He had to go with Peyton Manning.
I'd like to see him in there.
I like McNair. I love McNair.
I loved him.
But again, one season or 2 or 3 3 Pro Bowls as a quarterback.
I can't do that.
Is that
I'm
Hall
a Panthers
of Fame?
fan,
I know Zach's Hall of Fame.
I'm gonna hold it against him for his record. His record's horrible.
3 winning seasons in 9 years. Jake Delhomme had more winning seasons for the Panthers. They both lost a Super Bowl. And again, you can say the MVP award all you want, but it accomplished the same thing. Jake had a better winning percentage. So there you go. So here's some. It says Cam and Gilmore are in the running around 50%. Hunter, chance? You think Gilmore's got a chance?
I think he's got a chance if he can continue to string along. Maybe like what he's done so far the past 3 to 4 years with New England. Obviously, winning Defensive Player of the Year last year was huge.
A lot of
if he
defensive
can
players
continue to
don't get
string that
in,
along,
too.
huh?
A lot of defensive players just
Yeah.
don't get in.
It's tough. You gotta be
I know
Ray
it's
Lewis.
it's tough. It's tough. But I feel like cornerbacks, they'll start to get a little bit more love, especially him as the league obviously has turned to more of a passing league. So
I mean, even defensive backs as a whole is hard. I mean, it's
It
hard.
seems like to me, Zach, through the years, and Hunter, maybe you can think about it yourself, as far as, defensive backs making the Hall of
I was
Fame.
thinking through my head right now. You got
It's almost like they had to be the very 1, 2, or 3
in
best
the league.
in the league
You're
at
talking about-
their whole career.
talking about Ed Reed,
Champ Bailey just got in there.
Yeah, Ed Reed, Champ Bailey,
Troy
Dion.
Polamalu.
Daryl Green.
Like, none of these guys are somebody you say maybe they shouldn't. It's like if you're a
This is
defensive
like,
back,
you're
it's-
the best in the league.
if it's a defensive back and you say their name, it seems to me like that it's one of those yeah or no questions. Like if they say yeah, then they probably are.
Like yeah. I agree with you. I mean, they're top 1 or 2. I mean, you're gonna have. I can't think. I can see his face. Can't think of his name for the Jets. Revis is going to become. If he's not, he's going to be coming up.
All right, there's 34 defensive backs in the Hall of Fame. I'm going to read only some of the most recent ones. Okay, Rod Woodson, Aeneas Williams, Deion Sanders, Polamalu in 2014, Daryl Green 2002, Dawkins 2011, and Champ Bailey 2013. I mean, that's when they finished. That was their last year in the league, the years I was announcing. So, I mean, in the 2000s, I named how many people? 5?
Yeah, I was thinking that in my head. I couldn't only remember like 7 back to 1990.
I'm going to go back through Champ Bailey, Brian Dawkins, Daryl Green made it to 2002, Ty Law, Polamalu, Ed Reed, Dion played to 2005, Aeneas Williams 2004, and Rod Woodson. So 9 people that's played in the last 20 years, defensive backs, had made it. So that's not even in 20 years. That's not even 20 out of 20. That's half. So you've got to be the best player, pretty much, defensive back across the league to even be nominated. New York Jets is likely. Frank Gore, I would say so. Don't you think, Hunter?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Your top 5 running back in yards all time. I believe you're gonna get there. He's got a chance to get to. He's 3rd right now. He's got a chance to pass Walter Payton this year, I think. It says work to do, Le'Veon Bell. I don't see it happening.
That ain't happening.
Not now. I mean, Sean Alexander has 9,000 yards and an MVP, and he's not in.
He was a stud for years.
Baltimore Ravens likely Earl Thomas.
Yeah.
Maybe, but as a Seahawk.
Well, either way, yeah. Either way. Well, it's got in the running Lamar Jackson, Marcus Peters, and Justin Tucker. Actually, it says Tucker will be an overwhelming choice as the best kicker in football. The Hall has only elected 2 full-time kickers in its history. Vinatieri will eventually join. I don't even know who Jan Stenerud is.
I ain't either.
And Morton Anderson are the only other kickers.
Morton Anderson is
in the Hall of Fame.
Legend.
Those guys averaged 22 seasons in the league. Tucker's only in his 9th year. I'm sure he can do it. Work to do. I ain't even gonna read those idiots. Nothing.
Dude, I'm just looking throughout this list because there's obviously a ton of teams we could go through. But I'm looking, and there might be only 5 or 6 people they list as 100% locked.
I mean, you got Big Ben.
In.
I mean,
well, all right, Hunter, Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry.
No.
Nah.
No way.
Maybe Odell.
How hard is it to get in as a wide receiver?
T.O. had. I mean, how much trouble did they give T.O.?
Just how many receivers in
That
general?
happened. Art Monk. I mean,
that never. Drew Pearson's not in the Hall of Fame.
I mean, he's not. Odell's not getting in.
Drew Pearson is not in the Hall of Fame.
Larry Fitzgerald is a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
That's the only one I might even.
He's one of the 6 that have 100% next to him on this list.
It says work to do, Baker and Myles Garrett. Pittsburgh Steelers lock 100% Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah.
I don't think any problem there. It says in the running, Pouncey and Watt.
Pouncey's good.
In Houston, it says lock J.J. Watt. Is that a lock?
No.
3-time Defensive Player of the Year. Joining Lawrence Taylor is the only 3-time winners of the award. It says every 2-time winner got in easily. It says Watt might not have the longevity, but he could retire tomorrow and get in. Where's he on the all-time sacks list? I mean, I don't know about.
I don't know about that either. I think physically looking at him, He's a monster.
Oh yeah,
but
you got to produce.
But yeah, I don't see that. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't know his stats.
J.J. Watt is 41st all time in sacks.
Wow.
At 96, he's behind Mario Williams. Is Mario a Hall of Famer? And Terry would say so, Hunter, wouldn't he?
NC State.
He's a state player. Dexter Manley, Jacob Green, Simon Fletcher, Joey Porter. Joey Porter, a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, Joey Porter's a stud.
Andre Tippett, Cameron Wake. Of course, Charles Haley's in front of him. Jim Jeffcoat has more sacks. Elvis Dumerville has more sacks than...
forgets about that little Raven guy. He's a good football player.
Trace Armstrong has more sacks than J.J. Watt. Greg Townsend, Sean Jones, Robert Mathis, Ricky Jackson. He ended with 128 sacks, Zach. Nobody ever talks about it. You don't remember? He's a New Orleans Saints linebacker. Tecmo Super Bowl.
With Pat
Swilling and them.
I remember Swilling.
They had a tough defense then.
So I think what we should do, since it's running up on time, but we have a lot of things to go down, I'm going to read you guys the lock that they have for the 100%, and I'll see if you guys agree, because you guys obviously have seen all sorts of Hall of Famers play. So here's the next one that pops up on the list after J.J. Watt. Von Miller.
Yeah.
Is he 100% locked for the Hall of Fame?
Yes, he's way more than J.J. Watt is. Again,
3-time All-Pro.
He's got
Super Bowl
more.
MVP.
He's got more sacks than he won a Super Bowl, and he won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You know, Hunter, I'm 100% in on Von Miller. He's got over 100 sacks. Yeah, I'm good on that one.
What about you?
Yeah,
Zach?
I tell you what, it reminds me.
If Cam gets in, Von Miller damn sure better get in.
It reminds.
Yeah.
I was just thinking of an old school player that just had the speed like Von Miller's Derek Thomas.
Yeah.
Is that not? You know, yeah. Derek Thomas was very similar on the speed. Yeah, go ahead.
I totally agree on Zach on the Derek Thomas comparison, and he's one of the best outside linebackers. It almost. Hunter, we talk about if you're going to put together an all-time defense, Peppers is in the starting lineup. Derek Thomas might be the other defensive linebacker on the outside with Lawrence Taylor. Don't you think, Zach?
Freaking believable. Just lost his life.
If I gave you a linebacker core of Derek Thomas on the outside, Ray Lewis in the middle, and Lawrence Taylor on the other side, I mean, could you come up with anybody better than that? I mean, I don't know. All right, Hunter, who else you want to? Kansas City's got Patty Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, and Travis Kelce.
Oh my God!
Cheetah's got some work to do.
The only one with 100% is Patrick Mahomes, and you know what? I mean, I'd give him.
I don't even give him 100.
Not yet.
I can't.
Everybody's
just blowing him up, man. What if he blows his knee out?
Eli's got 2 Super Bowls.
He's got a league MVP and a Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah.
In 2 seasons, he's only done it, and he's only played for 2 seasons.
What if he Alex Smiths?
I mean, that could happen. It could happen. The only other one that comes up now for 100%, I mean, I have to keep scrolling, but it's down here with the Washington football team. It's Adrian Peterson.
You skipped the Raiders.
Janikowski.
Raiders had one that was 100%.
Yeah, Raiders got a 100% one. He's not on the team anymore. They cut him.
The first-round draft pick.
Janikowski better be a Hall of Famer. I think that's one of the greatest picks in NFL history.
First-round pick. Who would be a Raider that's a Hall of Famer?
Y'all were missing it.
Oh, they have
offense or
Jason
defense?
Witten.
Jason Witten. You didn't know he was on the Raiders, did you?
They should have listed him as a Cowboy.
That hurts me.
That's automatic. There. It's automatic. Yeah, he's a Raider.
Yes, he'll get in. What about Adrian Peterson then?
I think he should. Yeah,
there's no way he don't.
Adrian Peterson is one of the 100. He's one of when you name running backs. I ain't gonna say change the game, but he was the best running back in the game for a long time, and that to me is not a hard one at all with him.
I thought he was a good throwback to come out. I thought he was Eric Dickerson.
Yeah,
just not as good.
You know who I thought he was? I thought he was more Bo Jackson, Herschel Walker.
I like that he's a stand-up guy.
Right, he's a modern day. He's a lot like Herschel. He's a modern day Herschel to me. But Herschel was a more overall athlete and speed. But Peterson ran hard. I think what we see from Peterson, Zach, is what we miss from Bo Jackson. Is what you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Does that make you feel you get in the same ballpark with me on that?
I like watching him.
100 at Chargers. I got Bosa maybe. I don't know.
And see, all these are young. You just got to put a 70 on
the Colts
them. 70%.
What about the Colts and Phillip Rivers?
Yes. Phillip Rivers to me is a lock.
If he's in, Romo's in.
Either. Yeah. Well, okay. The next one with 100% is Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
I think he's in.
Yeah, he'll be in.
He's overblown too.
He's overblown, but he'll be in.
Yeah.
Cowboys says 70-90% Zeke, Zach Martin, and Tyron Smith. You just never know about linemen.
How are you going?
Zeke's got to get to 10,000.
How are you going to put somebody at 70%? You're going to put Patrick Mahomes at 100. It's kind of like the Madden rating.
Super Bowl and Super Bowl MVP and a league MVP within 2 years. The only other one I would consider that's close to 100%, but is not really, would be Julio Jones. Looks like they got him at least between 70 to 99%. I think Julio gets in for a wide receiver.
I'm telling you, Kevin Dunn said the threshold to get in a wide receiver is almost non-existent. He's gonna be tough.
It's crazy hard. I've got the list here. Let me read you some of the wide receivers.
Steve Largent
that are actually in.
I think Art Monk's in. Steve Largent, Art Monk, T.O., Randy Moss.
I'm going to read the ones that played in the 2000s. How about that? Let's do that again. Jerry Rice ended his career in 2000. So did Andre Reed. Terrell Owens, Randy Moss, Marvin Harrison, Chris Carter, Tim Brown, and Isaac Bruce. That's it. 8 wide receivers that have played in the 2000s. Now, here's the ones that's played since in the teens. You ready for the ones that played in the teens so far? Randy Moss, 2012. T.O., 2010. That's it. And Hunter, listen, he might be better than a lot of people on this list. Yeah. But, man, they just don't put him in. They don't give him in at all. Isaac Bruce had to fight to get in. You know who's still not in? Torrey Holt.
Ellard.
Henry Ellard. Here's your top 10, Zach, you're talking about not in the Hall of Fame. Gary, this is some website, Hunter. Gary Clark, Andre Rison, Wes Chandler, Mark Clayton, and Duper, Jimmy Smith, Sterling Sharp, Henry Ellard. And so there, Hunter, I don't know about that. All right, Hunter, finish up the show. I got something for you, okay? You ready?
Yeah, finish it up. Go ahead.
It's going to be yes and no's for you. Zach, I want you to help me with this.
Yes and no's for me, okay.
These are movies in the 90s that you may have not seen.
Dang it.
So, Zach, he hasn't seen Ace Ventura. And then I found out the other day, you know what, he hasn't seen Cool Runnings.
I don't think I saw Cool Runnings.
Cool Runnings. The Jamaican bobsled team, John Candy, hilarious movie.
I think that's the movie. No, never mind. That's not the movie he died in. He died in the West one.
Have you seen, Hunter, any of the American Pie movies?
Yes.
Okay. Hunter, real quick about your generation and our generation. My generation grew up watching movies about teenagers trying to come of age and meet girls and stuff like Varsity Blues, American Pie. I'm not saying anything about your guys, but y'all watch a lot of superhero movies. Zach, did anybody, when you were in high school, walk around in Superman shirts or Iron Man shirts or Pokemon shirts?
No, my generation was Garth Brooks and Billy Ray Cyrus.
Well, I was just saying, we dressed nice, like we wore collared shirts or jeans. All right,
they had mullets.
I'm gonna go through some of these, Hunter, that I might recommend that you need to watch to kind of get in tune with your 90s life. Have you seen Pulp Fiction?
No.
That one's not a comedy. That's a Quentin Tarantino. That's a all-time great. You need to get.
I know what Pulp Fiction is. I just haven't seen it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna tell you about romantic comedies. Probably you don't want to hear that one, do you? The comedies are the ones I really want to get in with you. You seen Big Daddy with Adam Sandler?
Yes, I've seen that.
Dazed and Confused.
Oh yeah.
Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
What was that?
Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas with Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
It's about.
I have seen Blue though with Johnny Depp.
He's a drug dealer and ends up taking all kinds of things. It's a crazy movie. Office Space.
Yes, I think Office Space is dumb though. I didn't think it was as great as everybody thinks it is.
I can see where you're saying that. The first time I watched it, I kind of thought that. Second time I watched it, it's kind of funny. What about, have you seen Dumb and Dumber?
Yes.
Cable Guy.
Hold on. Yes.
Jim Carrey.
I had to think of it.
What about Tommy Boy?
Yes.
That was a classic.
Yes, I've seen Tommy Boy.
Don't Be a Menace while drinking the juice in South Central.
No, I've seen just Don't Be a Menace.
This is the same thing. Okay. Billy Madison.
Duh.
Wayne's World.
Wayne's World, Wayne's World. Yeah.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
What about Half Baked with Dave Chappelle?
How Baked?
Half Baked, not How Baked. How Baked would have been just as appropriate.
I was about to say, man.
Have you seen the Matrix?
Out there.
Have you seen the Matrix movies?
Yeah.
Okay, I was worried about that. I'm just kind of going through some Mars Attacks. You see that one? That's a goofy.
Nah.
That's a weird goofy one. You want to watch something weird? The Men in Black movies?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to see where Hunter was standing on some of these and just give you some nominations of things to think about if you haven't, Hunter. But yeah, get you some cool runnings. Ace Ventura, that's classic. That's just
Son-in-Law.
fun. Forrest Gump, I'm sure you've seen that one, Hunter.
Son-in-Law with Pauly Shore.
That's pretty.
And Encino Man was one of my favorites.
That was funnier than Son-in-Law. Encino Man was just that was goofy. Trying to see anything else, but all right, Hunter, I appreciate it. We're going to talk to you Saturday morning.
Yes.
Wake you up bright and early Saturday. Zach, thanks for coming in today. We're going to, I guess, just have some good days here at KTC next few days. Listen to racing and Atlanta Braves baseball on KTC Broadcasting, folks. WCSL 1590 AM. Hopefully we'll have some high school sports this fall. Not looking good, but, even if they do, Hunter, we talked earlier, they might not even let us do them. So,
true.
We're at a point with that, so we don't even know about that. Well, Hunter's going to get back to work, it looks like, Zach.
Oh, goodness.
Hunter, that is not how you social distance. Stay away from the chicken wings. We'll see you guys next week. I got the music going now. Hunter's jamming, folks. Lou Williams down in Atlanta getting ready for the bubble. We'll see you guys Saturday. Thanks for tuning in on KTCBroadcasting.com.